Chapter 1. There was a pavilion courtyard and a small pond with fish swimming in it. A hammock was hung between a red and a green jujube tree, and a man was sleeping on the hammock. The man has bright eyes, white teeth, sword-like eyebrows, and long untied hair. He gives people a gentle, jade-like, lazy, and self-assured feeling. People can't help but admire it. What a handsome man! Suddenly, the man opened his eyes, and was stunned for a while before he murmured in confusion, "This dream is too real, but the characters are too subversive. How could I sacrifice that little fool? Drawing blood to refine marrow, I can't be that perverted. Ananan has always been quiet and gentle, how could she be a cruel demon? I actually defected and turned to the devil's way because I was jealous of junior brother Xiao Han? How is that possible? Junior brother and I have always been good friends. If that were true, I would be a bit like the villain in the novel. The most outrageous thing is that junior brother Xiao Han is handsome and extremely talented. How is it possible that he still hasn't lost his virginity until the end?" Sure enough, dreams are full of strange things. As soon as he woke up, Mo Bai couldn't help but complain. He had a very outrageous dream. In the dream, everyone's image was subverted, and he, a lazy guy, turned out to be extremely ambitious. He thought it was ridiculous. In the entire Taishu Holy Land, everyone knows that Mo Bai has a peaceful nature and does not fight with the world. In fact, he was also tired. He had worked diligently in his previous life, from 9 to 9, but in the end he suffered from a lot of diseases and died young. He feels like he has earned one more day every day he lives. Instead of fighting with others every day, it is better to live a leisurely life in seclusion. I shook my head and didn't think about anything else, and went back to sleep. Suddenly, ripples appeared in the space in front of him. A little elf with a pair of small wings behind it, golden hair, and as delicate as a porcelain doll flew out. Look at his expression, he seems to be as anxious as possible. After seeing Mo Bai, a smile instantly appeared on that delicate face. But it only lasted for a moment, and then the smile on her face disappeared. He put on a serious look. That look seemed quite cute to Mo Bai. Just as I was about to say something, this little elf spoke in a baby voice, "Ding, the strongest villain role-playing system is activated." Mo Bai. As a time traveler, he also thought about things like systems at the beginning, but unfortunately there was nothing. As time went by, this idea of his gradually faded away. He can live well without the system. However, 19 years later, something suddenly appeared, calling itself a system. But why is this system a little different from those systems? Somewhat silly. Am I still dreaming? Because I dreamed about a villain, so this system popped up? Dreams within dreams are quite interesting. Just as I was about to ask a question, this little elf spoke first. This system is dedicated to training the host to become a great villain. According to the plot flow of this world and the identity of the host does not need to make any big moves. He just needs to follow the plot flow and arrive successfully. After you have completely completed this script, I can take you back to Earth and use the villain points you have gained in this world to give you a top-level epiphany. Thus transcending, ha 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 ha, I am so awesome. The little guy seemed very excited. He talked a lot and even put his hands on his hips at the end. Mo Bai. From this guy's words, he roughly understood these things. This world is a novel, and he has traveled through time and space to become the villain. And according to this system, as long as he completes all these things peacefully, he can return to Earth and become an unrivaled powerful man. It sounds tempting, but... Looking at the elf who looked so awesome, Mo Bai's mouth twitched slightly. This guy doesn't seem reliable. I thought about it and said, "It's not that I don't trust you, I just want to see it and open my eyes." The elf was stunned, and said in a strange way, "Oh, I've already proved it to you. Didn't you encounter anything strange just now?" Mo Bai narrowed his eyes, "Are you saying that the dream I just had was your work?" The elf looked proud, "That's the plot. What do you think? After watching it once, are you full of confidence in the future?" Mo Bai. "There's a hole in my throat, I don't know how to get it out. Where is the plot? It's completely broken. How could my lovely junior sister be like that? Ananan is so violent, how can she be so petty?" Thinking about this, the elf's eyes were full of suspicion. He now suspected that this little guy was created by one of his enemies specifically to target him. Thinking of waving his hands and slapping the elf aside, he spoke at the same time. "Get away from me, I want to sleep." After saying that, he slightly turned his body, closed his eyes, and went back to sleep. At this moment, a voice came into my mind. Ding! You gained 30 villain points. Source, Lingzi. Mo Bai opened his eyes hurriedly. He felt something about this system. He adjusted his posture again and looked at the elf in front of him. Although he is not very strong, he has practiced similar mental defense methods, and ordinary people cannot confuse him at all. Now this silly-looking elf has no chance of doing this at all. And now such a voice suddenly appeared in his mind, which made him more certain of that idea. Someone, get him! At this time, some silly elves also flew over. Some looked at him in disbelief, and some said angrily, You actually hit me, I'm going to make things difficult for you, I'm going to reduce all your gains. Who asked you to mess with me? I told you, I have no interest in fighting with you for these things, why don't you just go and have fun? Mo Bai said. Hear from Mo Bai, the elf also reacted and said, You don't think I'm fake, do you? Mo Bai nodded, I have never seen a system as stupid as yours. Ding! You get 50 villain points. Source, Lingzi. Haven't you seen your whole life? Why don't you believe it? The elf said angrily. Mo Bai's expression remained unchanged, it was just a vague dream, and it was so fake, why would I believe it? The elf became angry instantly, clenched his fists, and looked like he was about to explode as a super scion. Mo Bai was about to say something when a long paragraph of text appeared in his mind. Look at the title, Emperor of the Eight Desolations. With the help of an invisible force and his natural understanding, in just the blink of an eye, this novel of several million words was carefully reviewed in his mind. After watching it, Mo Bai's face was as complicated as it could be. According to the book, he was a real villain before. The elf looked very impressive, how about it? Do you believe me? Mo Bai had a complicated expression, if this is really the case, then junior brother Xiao Han is too pitiful. So many girls are still virgins. Elf. Is now the time to care about this? Coming back to his senses, Mo Bai looked at the elf and said, If what you said is correct, then you are late. Chapter 2. According to the context of Emperor Zunbawang, he is indeed a big villain. After the protagonist Xiao Han joined the sect, he was suppressed everywhere. His authority as the eldest senior brother kept declining. Even the junior sister who admired him at the beginning was taken away by the protagonist. The master who was taking care of him also turned his eyes to Xiao Han. Girls were robbed, resources were robbed, care was robbed. At the beginning, his cultivation level suppressed the protagonist Xiao Han, and he was still able to pretend, and was regarded as the eldest senior brother in the eyes of everyone. But they were slowly caught up and suppressed. Then in a secret experiment, out of extreme jealousy, he pushed the protagonist into the abyss. Want to put him to death? It's a pity that the protagonist is still the protagonist after all, and he didn't die. He also obtained the inheritance of an unrivaled powerful person in the abyss. When the secret realm was about to end, he broke out of it, like a god descending from heaven, sweeping away everything. He was then exposed by the demonic witch lurking in the sect and had no choice but to fall into the devil's way. He is paranoid and believes that the person who caused all this is the protagonist Xiao Han. So I never stopped fighting against him. Then it continues until the finale, becoming the nourishment for the protagonist to reach the pinnacle of spiritual practice. This is also the fate of a villain like him. Well, it was like this before. If it was Mo Bai who got this script and the system, he might have followed suit. It's the most comfortable to lie down with arrangements. Just follow the plot and you will get to the end. The most important thing is that you can get a big reward in the end, return to the original world, and transcend. But... hey? I'm late? What does that mean? The elf looked confused. Mo Bai put his hands behind his head and said leisurely, as the saying goes, character determines destiny. Since you know that I came from a different time, you must know that my personality is different from that of the original owner, right? You should have come to me and explained the situation the moment I came here, so that I could follow the plot. It's already been 19 years, and junior brother Xiao Han has been in the sect for some time. The plot has become a mess. How do you want me to follow? Elf. The little face instantly turned red and lowered its head. The two little index fingers began to tap each other. I was supposed to be here first, but this world is so good at hiding. Having said this, she raised her head again and said, that's not difficult. With the help of this system, you just need to correct the plot, right? Mo Bai sighed and said, according to the plot, I should have a little crush on her now, and she will do whatever I ask her to do. The elf came back to his senses, remembered the well-behaved elf girl in the book, and nodded excitedly, indeed, junior sister Qingming is so well-behaved, you can't let her go. Hearing this, Mo Bai silently took out a letter token, and after a while, a line of words appeared in it, Xiao Qingming, I'm a little hungry. Do you have any food over there? Give me some. The elf was stunned, not knowing what Mo Bai was going to do. However, according to the description in the book, with the temperament of that junior sister, she would probably rush over with the things in her hand the moment she received the message. After all, for her, being able to talk to a handsome senior like Mo Bai can make her excited for the whole day, not to mention having breakfast with him. After a moment of silence, a clear and beautiful voice came from the letter Jade, eat shit. Then the light in Xinyu disappeared, and it was obvious that the other party had forcibly ended the conversation. Elf. Then he exclaimed, what is this? What is this? What is going on? Even if the plot is off, it wouldn't change the whole person, right? This is too outrageous, what on earth did you do? Mo Bai sighed, I didn't do anything. Just as the elf was about to say something, Mo Bai continued, according to the plot, I am now 19 years old. I should be the first true disciple of the head teacher and the eldest senior brother of Xiaoao sect. Yes, that's right. The elf nodded. Mo Bai glanced at her, opened his mouth slightly, and blew up some of his bangs, and now I am the most insignificant disciple of the master, a little-known disciple of Xiaoao sect. Elf. A mouthful of old soup stuck in my throat. I don't know what to say, you said you didn't do anything, and you really didn't do anything. You should do the same as in the original novel and work hard to climb up to the throne of the eldest brother. But she soon thought of a certain person, her eyes lit up, and she said hurriedly, what about the protagonist? Didn't you say that the protagonist has already entered the stage? According to your identity settings, you are the villain and he is the protagonist. Even if you make changes now, you will definitely confront him inexplicably. As long as this part is still there is definitely a chance. After all, the main purpose of the villain is to hinder the protagonist. Mo Bai's mouth twitched slightly. With a helpless expression on his face, the elf suddenly felt something was wrong and said, you won't even be the protagonist. Before he could finish, Mo Bai picked up the jade again, and as his mind moved slightly, a passage of words appeared on it, Junior brother Xiao Han, I'm a little hungry, do you have anything to eat? Elf. Can you change the word? The moment it was sent out, it barely paused, and once it had some neutral magnetism, bursts of fighting sounds came out from inside, brother, I am in the burning flame region right now. I will prepare food for you as soon as I get out. What do you want? Mo Bai nodded, Junior brother, you look very busy. That's fine. Just bring me something when you come out. The voice suddenly became anxious, don't worry, it's just a few fire demons, I can handle it quickly. As if to verify these words, there was a loud sound of swords, whistling wind, and screams. There is no doubt that he wanted to chat with Mo Bai for a while longer. But Mo Bai didn't have this thought and said, in battle, time is fleeting, and a blink of an eye can turn a situation around. Junior brother, you must not be careless and face the enemy with your heart. By the way, there is a small red and black spot on the back of the flame demon's neck. That is its weak spot. I won't bother you with it. Don't bother me, senior brother. I can handle it right away. Before he could finish, Mo Bai cut him off. Elf. My goodness, the protagonist has become a bootlicker, right? The elf couldn't complain for a moment. She was now wondering if she had come to the wrong world. At this time, Mo Bai looked at him and said, have you come to the wrong world? Elf. You actually said it out loud. But she just complained, and soon she reacted and said, you, how did you do that? Chapter 3. Who is the protagonist? The son of destiny, the invincible cockroach, the world's own son. With such multiple halos, how could he possibly lick a villain like you? Logically speaking, when you two met for the first time, shouldn't your eyes meet, then frown, and a sentence rise in your mind, I don't know why I feel uncomfortable seeing this person. The elf waved its little wings and spoke passionately. At the same time, he kept lowering himself in Mo Bai's sight, aiming to stand on his cheek. Mo Bai reached out and slapped the man away. Ding! you gain 30 villain points. Source, Lingzi. Said, it's not as exaggerated as you say. Only a moron would beat someone up just because they looked at him. Junior brother Xiao is a very nice person, not only is he good looking, but he is also humble and generous, and he takes good care of me. But his luck is really ridiculous. Every time he leaves the sect, his cultivation level will improve. It's really unbelievable. At the end, Mo Bai couldn't help but sigh. I thought junior brother Xiao Fan was blessed with great fortune, but it turns out that he is the protagonist of the world. Having said this, he paused for a moment, as if he had thought of something, and a smile appeared on his gentle face. Then according to this statement, as long as I keep this kind of relationship with my junior brother, I will be able to be led by him sooner or later. At this point, he glanced at the elf that he had just blown away and rushed towards him. That's great. Ding, you gain 50 villain points. Source, Lingzi. When this voice sounded, the elf had already come to him, covered his hat, and started to scold. Are you kidding me? Have some aspirations, okay? You're the villain. The biggest villain. Instead of thinking about being the protagonist, stealing his sister, stealing his baby, you're still thinking about clinging to his thighs? Do you have any professional ethics? Mo Bai waved his hand. I want to, but the plot is messed up now. What can I do? I am also desperate. The elf said excitedly, this is nothing, it's just the beginning. I remember that in the middle period, weren't you sold out by the witch who was lurking in Xiaoao sect and then defected from Xiaoao sect to join the magic path? You can follow this line now and fall into the evil path, then the plot will be saved. The witch Fuanan is the illegitimate daughter of the leader of the demon cult. She is also one of the heroines. Very bloody, her mother died because of her father, who was the leader of a cult. She wanted to prove herself and also to take revenge on her father. In the plot, it was she who secretly made public the fact that Mo Bai pushed Xiao Han down. After Mo Bai is disgraced, he will be brought into the demon sect to cause trouble. And Mo Bai also successfully exceeded the target, kill her father. The most ridiculous thing is coming. After Mo Bai killed her father, she suddenly discovered that her mother died because of her. Her father just took the blame to protect her. After realizing this, she almost went crazy. Just at this moment the hero came to her. After a lot of verbal attacks and a diversion of hatred, the villain Mo Bai took the blame. This is also her first step to clean herself up. But that's only in novels. In the real world, that guy is very quiet. She was like a fairy living in a book, and she didn't look like a witch at all. I remembered the corny words I said a few years ago. Mo Bai couldn't help but shiver all over and got goosebumps. I couldn't help but look away, with an awkward expression. No wonder she had that look on her face at that time. It turned out that something like this had happened. The elf was shocked when he saw this, and his delicate face was instantly filled with fear. Could it be possible that you have even cleared the name of that female devil? That's outrageous, it's just the early stages now. This character, who played an excellent role in almost the entire early, middle and late stages, was just whitewashed, and was even whitewashed by a big villain. How is this possible? Ding, you get 100 villain points. Source, Lingzi. This time, before Mo Bai could speak, this voice sounded first, and the value was twice as high as the previous highest. You can imagine how bad the elf's mood is now. Mo Bai's eyes lit up and he said, well, I don't know if it's cleared or not. Anyway, we don't have any senior brothers in Xiaoao sect now. We only have one senior sister. The elf's eyebrows twitched. This senior sister can't be. Ding, you gain 50 villain points. Source, Lingzi. Yes, it's her. After getting what he wanted, Mo Bai nodded with satisfaction. At this point, how could the elf not understand? Is it really okay to let an undercover agent be the senior sister of the first sect of the righteous path? This sect will be destroyed sooner or later. The elf complained mercilessly. After saying this, he sighed and flapped his little wings. Standing on Mo Bai's belly, his little wings began to droop, and he looked listless. What should I do? The plot is a mess. Alas, this villain path could have been easily completed. Mo Bai raised his head and looked at it, the corners of his mouth curled up, and he said, well, Xiao Lingzi, even if we don't follow the plot, we can still be the villain. The elf looked up, his eyes instantly brightened, really? After he finished speaking, he was stunned again and said, you, how do you know my name? Mo Bai pointed his finger, and a panel appeared in front of him. There are several sources of villain-valued emotions there. The thought moved slightly again, and a panel appeared in front of him. Host, MO by cultivation, none practice method, none villain value, 310. When this system appeared, did he have a general idea of its basic functions? It's basically about collecting villain points and then exchanging them for things in a store. The store has almost everything you could want. It is worth mentioning that while he was shopping, he set his sights on something. Looking at the villain value, he looked at the elf and said, "In short, you let me take the original route so that I could get the villain value in the easiest and most convenient way, right?" The elf nodded, and his eyes lit up. "Yeah, it's not like you can't become a villain if you don't follow the plot." Having said that, the elf's eyes lit up, and he flapped his little wings and flew forward again. "From today on, you will bully people mercilessly, especially those related to the protagonist. They can give the highest villain value. Train them all to beep, 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 so that we can have villain value every day." Hearing this, Mo Bai smiled even more kindly. No, I have an easier way to get it." The elf's smile became brighter when he heard this. "Really? What method?" As they talked, they got closer and closer. Mo Bai's thoughts moved slightly, and the panel instantly changed back to the original villain value information, and he smiled and said, "I think it's easiest to get it from you. Look, I've got more than 300 in just a short while." The elf's face froze, and the smile on his face was frozen as if petrified. "Ding, you get 300 villain points. Source, Lingzi." There is another piece of information in the panel above. The elf was stunned for a moment, and his whole body began to get furry. "Are you crazy? I am your system, which means you are the one who makes me feel guilty. How dare you even fleece yourself? Ding, you get 200 villain points. Source, Lingzi. Hurry up and give up this shameful idea of yours and turn your attention to the heroines and the supporting roles. Ding, you get 100 villain points. Source, Lingzi. It doesn't matter if you set them to RBQ or something, just don't bully me. I am not your target. Ding, you gain 30 villain points. Source, Lingzi. The little guy suddenly became anxious. He spoke a lot of words like a machine gun, refreshing the villain value at the same time. In this situation, Mo Bai would just maintain a faint smile. After the elf finished speaking, he calmed down, but he didn't dare to stand in front of Mo Bai. Instead, he made a U-turn and stood behind Mo Bai. This is where he can't see. Mo Bai didn't even turn around to look, and said with a smile, "According to what you said, villains like me are the scariest, right? When I get ruthless, I won't even let myself go. Just follow me, I'll take you flying with me sooner or later." However, this is how the elf heard this sentence. "Just follow me. Sooner or later I will bully you into flying." The elf was so angry that he was shaking all over, his hands and feet were cold, and his watery eyes really turned watery. After a flash of white light, the entire spirit disappeared. At the same time, a voice sounded in Mo Bai's mind, "Big Bad Silver, I'm ignoring you." Mo Bai was stunned for a moment, then came back to his senses. This guy probably returned to that system, and she should be that kind of system elf. Oh, I am really sinful. Such a cute elf can do this. But that's almost enough. As the thought crossed my mind, the product column changed rapidly, and finally various spicy strips appeared. From Koshui chicken to Walong, we have it all. These were all made on Earth, and Mo Bai ignored them at first. Focus your attention on the spicy snack that requires 500 villain points. This is what he had his eyes on just now, made from spiritual fruits and spiritual materials. According to the introduction, the taste is so good that it makes people feel as if they are in the sky or in the underworld. It also brings a large amount of spiritual energy, which can help people below the second realm to break through. Just look at the introduction. He hadn't eaten spicy strips for a long time and was drooling over them. Fortunately, after his repeated operations, he finally accumulated enough villain value. Let me taste what the Xiaoxian version of spicy noodles is like. I want to exchange it just thinking about it. But at this moment, his eyes were attracted by the spicy strips next to him, which required 1000 points of villain value. The introduction is brief, only saying that it is 10 times the effect of 500 points. Damn it, only 5 of them cost 1000 villain points. There are more than 20 of them with a value of 500, and I only have over 940 villain values at most, which is not enough at all. One has 5 items, the other has 20 items, there is no need to consider it at all. Thinking of this, Mo Bai felt relieved. A slight thought, hey, Xiao Lingzi, I want to eat spicy noodles, but I'm still a little short of villain value. Elf. Chapter 4. At the same time, in a church, a young girl in blue had an unhappy expression on her face. Suddenly, she stomped her feet hard. A hole, you only think of me when you're eating. Why don't you look for your Xiao Han at this time? An. As they murmured, the elementary school students sitting below really couldn't help themselves. 7 or 8 years old is always an active age. A chubby little boy couldn't help but raise his hand and say, Teacher Lin, how do we read next? Lin Qingming came back to his senses instantly, raised his head and said with a smile, Wang Xiaoming, please stand in the corner as punishment. The rest of you can study on your own and do whatever you want after class. After saying this, he turned around and left without even stopping. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared at the door, and in another blink of an eye, he disappeared from sight. I want to see whether you really have that kind of fetish. And just after Lin Qingming left, the scene became lively. A little girl with sky blue hair sitting in the back of the crowd looked curiously at her friend who was lying on the table, reading an extracurricular book, and starting to play around. Xiaoqing, you said that instructor Lin left so quickly. Did something happen? And teacher Lin is always very gentle, why did he suddenly swear just now? The friend blinked and said without raising his head, as the saying goes, beating is love, scolding is love. Didn't you see it? Teacher Lin just scolded him and then walked out. He must be looking for his man. The cute little girl suddenly understood. Oh, so instructor Lin is getting married. I guess I need to ask my parents to prepare some gifts. How do you know he's married? The friend asked in surprise. The cute little girl asked back, looking for a man means getting married, doesn't it? At the same time, above a fire area, a handsome figure with long silver hair as silky as silk was wreaking havoc in it. He held a magic sword in his hand, which was shining with colorful luster and possessed the powers of wind, fire, thunder, and lightning. Wherever he passed, the fire demons formed by the ultimate fire spirits were destroyed one after another in his hands. With every strike, his attack became more violent. If you look closely, some words can be heard from his lips, hurry up and kill all of you. I still have to prepare food for my brother. Wait for me, brother. Neutral magnetic sound. Coupled with that exceptionally handsome face, it is hard to tell whether he is a man or a woman. Not far away from him, there was a group of people staring at this scene in a daze. They don't understand why people who were originally quietly killing monsters suddenly exploded. A woman with a veil on her face, wearing a sky blue dress, and exuding a scholarly air. At this moment, a light was flashing on her hand. Unlike others, she could see the situation of the battle clearly and hear Xiao Han's words. After a while, she couldn't help but sigh, it's really terrifying. Just a piece of information has caused this proud child to change like this. Just who is the senior brother he mentioned? Under 2 date trees. You shameless BD. I'm gone, and you're still trying to take advantage of me. The elf flew out and said somewhat collapsed. Mo Bai didn't care and happily exchanged for a bag of spicy strips worth 1000 villain points. Click extract. A white jade box about 1 foot long and 3 centimeters wide appeared in his hand. This packaging is quite unique, it deserves 1000 villain points. Mo Bai said with a smile. You are such a prodigal son. You actually wasted it like this. Wouldn't it be better to use it to exchange for some other things to train those heroines? The elf said angrily. Mo Bai seemed not to have heard it, took out a cigarette and opened it. I used my 1000 villain points. If it doesn't taste good, I have to continue to earn it back from you. The elf felt a chill run down his spine. Ding, you gain 40 villain points source, Lingzi. After receiving this message, Mo Bai's expression instantly turned into a smile. Look, I made money again. Ah, bad silver, cried the elf, and it flashed with a white light and disappeared again. Mo Bai shook his head, didn't care, sat up, and reached out to open the white jade lid. It is shaped like a thin ruler, its color is bright red, its taste is spicy and sweet, and if you feel it carefully, you can feel an extraordinary aura contained in it, which makes people's appetite grow. The familiar spicy noodles, I finally see you again. As he said this, he started eating. After feeling it for a while, Mo Bai couldn't help but nodded. It tastes spicy and sweet at first, with a salty and numb feeling. The spiritual energy lingers on the tongue and around the body, making people feel as if they are traveling in the clouds or in the nine netherworld. It was exactly the same as what he introduced, even several times better. As for the spiritual energy, he also felt it, but it didn't have much effect on him. Anyway, it tastes great. Without giving it much thought, he finished one in just a few bites, then opened a new one and started eating it with relish. At this time, the elf's figure began to flash again. Standing in front, although he still looked angry, his expression had obviously eased a lot. I watched Mo by eating but didn't say anything. But speak seriously, hey, host, I thought about it and thought your method might work. But that's really too much trouble, and the source is too unstable. It requires a lot of planning. I think it's better to do two things at the same time. Follow the script while playing the villain, this way we will soon be able to gather enough points to transcend. Mo Bai nodded, yeah, you're right, whatever you say is what it is. As long as you can give me spicy noodles to eat, everything you say is right. I'm serious, the elf shouted. Obviously he also saw Mo Bai's condition. Yeah. Mo Bai nodded repeatedly, but there was no intention of stopping his words or hands. The elf was very angry and just wanted to say something. A green light flew from afar. Turning around, he saw a young girl flying towards him on a sword. His heart moved and a smile instantly appeared on his delicate face. He flew to Mo Bai's shoulder and began to shake Mo Bai's face. Host, look, your little fang girl is here. I told you, the plot will change, but it won't be that outrageous. Your little fang girl is definitely your little sister, even though she's a little stubborn. Mo Bai also feels relaxed. At this moment, the green light disappeared out of thin air. A moment later, a figure was seen hiding on the roof of the yard. He was performing some magic, hiding his body, and watching him quietly. The little girl was dressed in green, less than 1.5 meters tall, but fierce in front. Her 3,000 black hair was tied up casually, and her extremely cute face was full of seriousness. She has the height and face of a Lolita and the figure of a devil. The combination of the two things, which are obviously extremely incongruous, has an inexplicable sense of harmony. She stared down with an unfriendly look in her eyes. As if he was going to beat up the person in his sight. Elf. After a moment's reaction, is this a fake junior sister? Not only will she tell you to eat shit, she will also come over and beat you up. Chapter 5. Mo Bai was silent. He also didn't know when Lin Qingming became like this. She still remembered that when he was a child, this guy was indeed as well behaved and smart as described in the book. Follow him and call him brother and senior brother. But things changed slowly. He changed in these few years. The look in his eyes was no longer full of smiles, as if he was looking at salted fish, although he was indeed. But in the past few months, the changes have become more and more significant. It was as if I had robbed her man. In the past, if I asked her for some food, she would bring it to me. But it's not like now. Not only did she ask me to eat shit, but she also came over here and hid and watched me, as if she wanted to kill me. 2. Unfortunately, this method of concealment is too low level. Even that little fool noticed it, let alone him. But there is no intention to expose it. He also wanted to understand this matter. I want to know what happened to make her look like this. Thinking about it, I picked up the half-eaten spicy strip and continued to eat it, one bite or two, the fragrance wafted in the air. Lin Qingming's eyebrows raised at this. Good you guy. This thing is overflowing with spiritual energy and has a fragrant smell. You can tell it's extraordinary at first glance. It's not an exaggeration to say it's a simple spiritual food. And you told me you're hungry and have nothing to eat, so you asked me to bring it to you? Sure enough, you are playing a joke on me. But what is this thing? It smells so good. Thinking of this, looking at the spicy strips in Mo Bai's hand, Lin Qingming couldn't help swallowing his saliva. Ding, you get 200 villain points. Source, Lin Qingming. After receiving this message, Mo Bai looked at the half-eaten spicy strips in his hand and fell into deep thought. Can we just say that she is worthy of being the heroine? Just by watching himself eating spicy strips, he contributed 200 villain points. And what are you so angry about? Didn't you just scold me? And you came here to spy on me. I haven't exposed you yet, so I can just beat you up. This is my territory, how dare you be angry? After practicing for a while, he had a rough idea of how to get the villain's value and found some rules. Maybe it's because I PD someone off or I did something that made people unhappy. You can get villain value from the person you are unhappy with. So he didn't understand what he had done to make this junior sister unhappy. But he is not the kind of person who likes to dwell on trivial matters. If he can't figure it out, he simply won't think about it. Elegant and graceful, quietly eating her spicy noodles. So in his perception, the expression on his junior sister's face became more and more relaxed, but the frequency of her swallowing saliva also became more and more frequent. It's a pity that the villain's value is only 200 points at the beginning and then there is no more starting. So what are you angry about? Time passed, and when he finished the second one and took out the third one with reluctance, in the sky, a stream of white light began to rapidly expand. It was not difficult to judge from the flow trajectory that this stream of light was coming towards him. After a moment, he arrived in front of the courtyard, and with one final leap, the full appearance of the person who came could be seen. Lin Qingming, who was hiding, narrowed his eyes. What caught my eye was a figure in a white dress, with a ribbon wrapped around her hands and floating behind her. She had a stunning face and a slim figure. There was an air of immortality about her, as if looking at her any longer would be a blasphemy. Floating and peaceful. The youngest senior sister in Xiaoao sect. It is the facade of Xiaoaoman to the outside world, a shining golden business card. At the age of 18, she had already entered the fifth realm, and she was as beautiful as a fairy, with an immortal aura. It is no exaggeration to say that she is the goddess and dream lover of all the disciples of Xiaoao sect. Regardless of gender. However, Lin Qingming was not among these people. This person is very nice, but she can't like him. Hey, after I refused, you asked this woman to come over, right? What a starving ghost, he can't even move. But if it's her, it's okay. Lin Qingming thought about it and continued watching. Although she felt a little unhappy, she could accept it if it was Fu Anan. She already knew that Fu Anan and Mo Bai had some connection. Long time no see, an An. Mo Bai shouted while holding up the spicy strips. Fu Anan's originally tense face also broke into a smile. It is like the stunning beauty blooming from the cold snow-capped mountains, especially against the backdrop of the fairy spirit. It is like a fairy descending to earth, breathtakingly beautiful. Sure enough, I feel most relaxed in front of him. Thinking of this, his face became serious again. Who are you with? Call me senior sister. Seeing him like this, Mo Bai silently handed over the half-eaten spicy strips. Big sister, would you like to have a bite? Fu Anan failed in a second. The same bright smile appeared on his face again. He didn't refuse. He reached out to take the half-eaten spicy strips, put them in his little mouth and started chewing. It seems that I was conquered by the deliciousness of spicy strips. Her eyes curved into crescents, revealing a happy smile. If her admirers saw this expression on her face, they would probably be shocked and pick up the torch and walk towards Mo Bai. Seeing this scene, Lin Qingming, who was hiding in the dark, turned from serious to cold. I was obviously here first, damn, it looks so delicious. If that annoying guy doesn't show up soon, I can go back. But it's impossible for him to show up, right? It seems that he has gone to the flame region. At the same time, Mo Bai also received a message. Ding, you get 300 villain points. Source, Lin Qingming. Mo Bai's mouth curled up when he received this message. That guy is really greedy. In less than half an hour, he was served a weakened version of spicy strips. If I try harder. This taste is really strange, and my cultivation level has actually improved a bit. Fu Anan opened his eyes and said as he savored the taste. At this time, Mo Bai noticed that there was a little red oil above her lips. Pointed. She reacted instantly, sticking out her small tongue and curling it slightly. But even this kind of seductive action seemed so holy and fairy-like when she did it. The elf was stunned, sitting on Mo Bai's shoulder and said blankly, Fu Anan. Mo Bai nodded. The elf cried out, impossible, absolutely impossible. The impression I have of Fu Anan is that of a peerless female devil, not a fairy like this. Before she led you to the demon sect, you two were mortal enemies. He stopped talking halfway, because Fu Anan took out a white pillow embroidered with white clouds. Brother, you like to sleep, so I found this cotton pillow especially for you. It contains 100 soul-soothing and sleep-inducing spiritual forests, which will allow you to sleep more comfortably. Mo Bai wiped the dirt off his hands, reached out and hugged the pillow, which was soft yet tough. He buried his face in it, and a familiar fragrance wafted from it. Look up and speak, this smells the same as yours, did you make it yourself? Fu Anan blushed and nodded shyly. It's just right. I just need a pillow to sleep here. That's great. Mo Bai said with a smile. The redness on Fu Anan's face became more and more intense. Elf. This is not the heroine I know. Ding, you gain 30 villain points source, Lingzi. Ding, you get 200 villain points source, Lin Qingming. Chapter 6. Damn it, haven't you seen a pillow? I can tell at a glance that the guy is holding the pillow in his arms and resting it behind his head day and night, otherwise how could there be a smell? You should feel disgusted. You actually sniffed. Pervert, pervert, damn pervert. Forget it, why should I care about this? If that pervert really likes this, then it's not bad. At least it proves that he is not that. As for Fu Anan, humph, he's just a tool. Humph, tool man, quickly take out your food, and then after you finish eating, you pervert, go to sleep. Lin Qingming thought in this direction, and his originally frantic mood calmed down. What a wonderful feeling, just like I just kissed his face. But since my pillow has always been with him, he will definitely remember my smell. As Fu Anan thought about it, the smile on her face became brighter. As I thought about it, I couldn't help but let out a perverted sound, hey hey. If this sound was uttered by an ordinary person, it would definitely be annoying, but when it came out of Fu Anan's mouth, it had an inexplicable sense of mischief. Mo Bai noticed something was wrong and asked, what's wrong? Fu Anan came back to his senses, waved his hands and said hurriedly, no, nothing, it's just that you like what I made, I'm very happy. At this moment, Mo Bai was like a child who got a new toy and started playing with the big pillow. All kinds of postures were used, such as side hug, face burying, and head behind. Looking at this scene, Fu Anan was stunned. After a while, he blushed and looked away. At this time, Mo Bai also stopped posing, hugged the pillow and said, okay, now it's time to get down to business. Lin Qingming, who was eavesdropping, was shocked when he heard this. Okay, let's get started. The main topic is definitely food. Fu Anan also nodded, his face becoming serious. Brother, according to the latest instructions from the headmaster, all disciples who set up their own peaks must have disciples before they can enjoy the treatment of the peaks. Mo Bai was stunned, and immediately understood what was going on. Since he was young, he was accepted as a personal disciple by the leader of Xiaoao sect and was placed with high hopes. It's a pity that he didn't become the eldest brother of Xiaoao sect at the young age of 17 like in the original novel. Instead, when he reached the conditions to establish his own mountain at the age of 17, he immediately moved out of Piao Miao mountain where his master lived. He chose a dojo, which is the Bubai peak where he lives now, and became a safe and secure salted fish. But his master did not let him go. On the contrary, I think it's a waste of his talent to be so lazy, so I'll find him something to do from time to time. I think this time is no exception. Before Mo Bai could say anything, the elf standing on his shoulder yelled, haha, the plot is coming. Didn't you just take in a female empress protagonist in the original novel? Mo Bai was stunned. Indeed, it was according to what the book said. When he just reached the middle stage, there happened to be a ceremony to recruit disciples. Hidden among them is a heroine with a special physique. When she had made great progress in her cultivation, it was just a simple matter of gathering energy to greatly increase her cultivation level. It could even thoroughly temper her physique and achieve the auspicious state of dragon and phoenix. At that time, he was thinking about competing with Xiao Han, so naturally he took this heroine in as his disciple, caring for her and teaching her meticulously. The result was, of course, tragic. Before he could develop the ability to collect and replenish his energy, he had already fallen into the devil's door. Later, he took advantage of the heroine's trust and tricked her out, intending to force her into having S*X with him. Of course, the result is that he is exposed by the protagonist, and then fails. After experiencing this, the heroine hated him to the core. After returning to inherit the throne, he worked hard and turned a mortal country into an immortal dynasty. In the end, he and the righteous alliance led by the male protagonist surrounded and suppressed him, the leader of the evil section. Thinking of this, the elf became more and more excited. As expected, no matter what you do, the plot still exists, and it is constantly pulling you back on track and following her. Accept this disciple, train him while waiting for the plot to recover, and then take off. She shouted excitedly, her face full of expectations for the future. Mo Bai ignored her, grabbed Fu Anan's hand, looked up, and said pitifully, "Senior Sister Anan, please forgive me. I am only 19 now, and my cultivation is only at the 5th level. How can I teach others?" What a joke, he had a lot of good time, just resting, sleeping and eating every day, and he had already spent his time. Where are the disciples of Kong Jiao? Impossible, absolutely impossible. At the same time, he was somewhat confident that he could get away with this matter. After all, the one in front of me is the senior sister. Over the years, I have helped him to cover up a lot of things. With her, it will work. Fu Anan was stunned and looked down at the face full of desire. She had seen quite a few in the past 2 years, but every time she saw one she couldn't help but help. Because who can refuse such a smiling face and such a request from brother Mo Bai? But this time, thinking of the headmaster's words of advice, she opened her mouth and said with a hard heart, "Brother, I am only accepting a disciple, and this time it is open to the whole sect, not just you. I really don't have." Before she could finish, Mo Bai came over and rubbed his cheek against her hand. "You know my temper. Accepting me as a disciple would only lead to misleading others. It's not right, it's not right." Looking at Mo Bai who is like a cat. "Uyazuan, brother, it's not that I won't help you, it's really not possible. Big sister, this is my lifelong request. Elf, _" She suddenly felt that the previous changes in the characters were not so strange. After all, the biggest villain in the whole play has become like this. The villain Mo Bai was gentle and elegant in the early stage, sinister and cunning in the middle stage, and domineering in the late stage. Look at him now. Salted fish, black-bellied, no moral integrity. After a while, she sighed, "I was wondering what the problem was. It turns out that you, the big villain, have completely collapsed. Ding, you get 200 villain points source, Lingzi." Meanwhile, on the other side. So it's because of the disciple thing. But it's already this late, and there's still no message from that guy. It seems like he only notified me that he's hungry. It seems that I misunderstood before. After all, with my junior sister here, it is impossible for him to awaken that kind of habit. After seeing this, Lin Qingming also got the result he wanted. He nodded with satisfaction. But she had no intention of leaving. She could give away the food she had taken. At the same time, Mo Bai, who was halfway through grinding, paused and took out the letter Jade. The thought moved slightly, and a neutral and magnetic voice came out. Who? Master, senior brother, I'm in the restaurant now, what do you want to eat? Lin Qingming. Chapter 7. She will never forget this voice. That was her lifelong enemy, Xiao Han. This man wanted to snatch his childhood sweetheart and send him walking on another path. During the entrance examination, Mo Bai helped him. I didn't take it seriously at that time. After all, even salted fish need friends. And if they are of the same S*X, there is nothing to be afraid of. But slowly she discovered that something was wrong. This guy was poisonous. It was as if he had some kind of magical power, and as soon as he appeared, he would immediately grab Mo Bai's attention. The two of them seemed to be destined to be together. They became good friends in just a few days. She didn't care, after all, they were soulmates, this level was normal. In less than a year, the two became close friends. Xiao Han also ran to Bubai Peak when he had nothing to do. During this year, he also figured out Mo Bai's preferences, and whatever he ate, drank and used completely met Mo Bai's preferences. This is nothing, anyone who has been around for a long time will have this feeling. Just like her. She knows most of what Mo Bai likes. So it's nothing. The most important thing is that he's a man, there's nothing to be afraid of. It was not until 2 months ago when she came back from her training trip to look for Mo Bai that she saw the two of them sleeping in the same bed. She didn't care at first, after all, 2 grown men were sleeping in the same bed. What's wrong with that? It just means that the two people have a good relationship. You said so, right? Of course, if that guy named Xiao Han didn't have that pitiful expression when he saw her, as if he had caught someone cheating in bed. That's what she thought. She vaguely remembered the guy grabbing his clothes with a shy expression. Lin, Senior Sister Lin, why are you here? Vomit. Nausea. But she didn't feel anything, at most she felt that this guy was a little effeminate and a little disgusting. After all, what could possibly happen between two grown men? Until a junior sister handed her a book, The Master of Demonic Dao, he then knew. It turns out that two men can do it. Come to think of it, that guy is pretty handsome, no, handsome. Then it all makes perfect sense. That guy was attracted by the handsomeness of his salty fish senior brother. Want to FK him? If we really compete, I'll just lose to a woman. What the hell are you, man? You want to get involved, you are sick. So based on this fact, she has been paying attention to this matter these days. Finally it was confirmed that the bad guy had most likely already embarked on that path. Then comes the important question. Did our salty fish senior brother really go down that path? Based on this issue, he has been conducting investigations in this area over the past few days. Because of this incident, his already unhappy mood towards Mo Bai became even more unhappy. Normally, he would mess with women, but now he even messes with men? Wouldn't he be able to mess with people of different races in the future? Didn't he take his childhood sweetheart seriously at all? So when Mo Bai contacted him for the first time, she said without hesitation, eat shit. Then come over here with your back foot. Of course, the purpose was to confirm whether he called her good brother besides her. She had thought it was probably impossible. After all, although my senior brother is a bit of a slacker, he won't go down that path. After all, there is a good-looking junior sister like me by my side. How could it go wrong? Fu Anan's arrival later confirmed her thoughts. She also successfully evolved from a love rival to a tool for herself to test whether her salty fish senior brother is still a normal man. Certainly. She was very satisfied with the initial results. Now, you're seduced by a man like this even though you have a childhood sister like me. Doesn't that mean I have no charm at all? I, Lin Qingming, have never suffered such humiliation. Reply, let me judge whether you are really in love with him. Lin Qingming stared at the letter talisman closely, or to be more precise, he was staring at Mo Bai. At the same time, his eyes became more and more unfriendly. If this insignificant senior brother of mine was really led down that path, she's going to try to solve it. If the solution can't be solved, hee. What? I told you not to rush, and you are still in the flame region, so you should train well. Are you not injured? Mo Bai said that originally that sentence was just for him to test the elves and collect some villain points. I didn't expect that silly guy would. The other side. In front of the restaurant, a handsome young man was holding a jade talisman. The smile on her face completely concealed the murderous aura brought about by the recent fight, and she looked very sweet. Xiao Han is indeed very excited now. It's been a long time since I received an unsolicited letter from senior brother Mo Bai. His tone is as gentle as usual. Everything is fine. Those fire demons can't do anything to me now. By the way, senior brother, I'll have a portion of all the desserts you always ordered. Would you like some of the local specialties here? Xiao Han quickly replied. There was a hint of pride in his tone, like a child who had scored full marks in an exam and was looking forward to being praised. Yes, the fire crystal cake over there is the best. Mo Bai said hurriedly. Well, take more fire crystal cake and some of the others as well. Xiao Han said. Mo Bai's eyes lit up when he received the information. Damn, my brothers are really awesome. No matter if he is the protagonist or not, he is a natural enemy. Now junior brother Xiao Han is the best junior brother in the world, who dares to deny it? I, Mo Bai, will beat him to a pulp. Thinking, continue, yeah, it turns out that you, junior brother, understand me the best. Oh, by the way, I just got some special things. I'll leave some for you. Well, okay, let's taste it together then. Xiao Han continued. Delicious, let's taste it together. Upon hearing this, veins popped out on Lin Qingming's forehead. The scene of Mo Bai feeding Fuan and spicy noodles suddenly flashed in my mind. He looked at the two white jade boxes on the hammock again. The scene of Mo Bai and Xiao Han eating the same spicy strip emerged in my mind. Cardiac arrest. Respiratory arrest. Ah. I don't even get this kind of treatment, so why should that guy deserve it? Thinking of the desserts in the storage bag, Lin Qingming felt bitter. It was hard to imagine that I actually lost to a man. No, senior brother Xianyu just has this tendency, there is still a chance to save him. But with me alone and our relationship being a little strained recently, it's a bit difficult. It seems that I need to find a helper. Thinking about it, he turned to look at Fu Anan. He narrowed his eyes and an idea came to his mind. Take out a sound transmission node and activate it. Fu Anan was also stunned while muttering something, and his expression changed slightly after a moment. The doting expression turned into a serious one in an instant, and he said, "Junior brother, please cut off the communication first. Things on my side are more important." The sound passed through the jade talisman and reached the other side. Xiao Han frowned when he heard the voice. This voice is Senior Sister Fu? She came to see her senior brother again while I was away? Chapter 8. Mo Bai was stunned for a moment, his face a little embarrassed. The expression on Fu Anan's face did not return to the doting smile it had before, but instead became even more serious. Mo Bai also stopped smiling when he saw this. He knew that Fu Anan was serious when he showed this expression. After this senior sister confirmed the matter, it was harder than climbing to heaven to persuade her, so, Xiao Hanin, senior sister has something important to talk to me about, so I'll hang up now. Be careful while you train over there. Mo Bai said quickly, and then disconnected his thoughts. He didn't want to accept a disciple. Xiao Han, who had just received this information, also responded hurriedly, Brother Mo Bai, what does the senior sister want to talk to you about? However, before he could finish his sentence, Xinu felt a sense of emptiness and sleepiness. This is the reaction after hanging up. Xiao Han's smiling face was instantly covered with a layer of frost. What happened, Master Sister? Brother, is it easy for me to get a trust jade? There is something that cannot wait until you finish talking. But we have to go back quickly, in case the elder sister takes me away because of that matter, and we can't find me then. Thinking about. He walked quickly towards the counter and said, Boss, bring me all the desserts in your store. Hurry up. The shopkeeper was stunned and asked again, this one male? Miss, are you sure it's all of them? Xiao Han emphasized, yes, everything must be done quickly. Shopkeeper, you are mistaken. This person is not a junior sister, but a junior brother. At this time, a gentle voice came. Looking up, I saw the person coming in, wearing a sky blue and white long skirt. She was tall, with skin as white as snow, and she smiled and looked around. Every move she made was full of intellectual beauty. Behind her is a group of beautiful girls. Although not as beautiful as her, she is also very beautiful. Everyone passing by couldn't help but turn their heads to look back, and this was repeated 5 times. In summary, the return rate is as high as 500%, Master, and all the fairies from the moon watching sect. The shopkeeper screamed in surprise at any moment, feeling excited. Mochizuki Munmitsu. One of the 3 giants of the righteous path. The criteria for accepting disciples are extremely strict. First, they must be female, and second, they must be good-looking. As we all know, LSP is the largest group in the world. In the Yunyu, the Wanjihu sect has always been the most conspicuous group, without a doubt. Countless male monks are eager to have a story with one of them. Of course, if you can choose. They wanted to choose Shisai, who was known as the book fairy in Yunyu. Just because it's so beautiful. Not only the appearance, but also the temperament. She is quiet and sweet, elegant and classical, and when she smiles, she brings an inexplicable sense of peace to others. It is the fairy master in front of you. If I could lure this group of people into my store and let them have a meal. There was no surprise at all. In the next few days, the turnover of our restaurant will see a straight line increase. Unfortunately, it is not appropriate now. The target of these fairies is obviously the unbelievably handsome young man in front of him who has booked all the desserts. To be honest, he also felt a little shocked. He actually got the person's gender wrong, which shouldn't have happened given his experience. But, since this fairy master has said so, it must be correct. I thought about it and reacted. He bowed to Xiao Han and said, Sir, I'm sorry. I was dazzled just now. Xiao Han was also stunned, and waved his hand with an unnatural look on his face. It's okay, hurry up and prepare what I need, I'm going back. Xiao Han, Xiao Han. After a long time, he himself became a little confused. When the shopkeeper heard what he said, the corner of his mouth twitched secretly. Young man, you don't understand at all. Fairy Master has come over to talk to you, and it looks like she'll be chatting with you for quite a while. You're still saying you want to go back? If it weren't for your good looks, it wouldn't be inappropriate for you to walk with a fairy. I will definitely add some toppings to your dessert. Okay, I'll go get ready right away, you guys chat. After saying that, he walked out of the counter in 2 or 3 steps. When I walked over, I didn't forget to look back, thinking, humph, you two can do it. I deserve at least half the credit. Halfway through the walk he thought, what was I thinking? Why should I create opportunities for the goddess and this boy? If the elf were here, they will definitely take a deep breath and shout, the protagonist is so terrifying. After the shopkeeper left, Xiao Han naturally ignored the good opportunity he created. He nodded to the group of people looking at the moon, then frowned and crossed his arms. Why would he have the mind to pick up girls now? Now my mind is filled with thoughts about why the senior sister is looking for me. Is it dangerous? Will he leave the sect? It was a pity that he wanted to remain silent, but the group of people from Wangjiu who were targeting him would not let him go. Junior brother Xiao, when you said you wanted to go back, do you mean going back to the sect? Shi asked. Xiao Han came back to his senses and nodded, yeah. This perfunctory attitude made the junior sisters and little fans behind the teacher glare at him angrily. A little kid couldn't help it, stood up, and shouted to Xiao Han, hey, what's your attitude, kid? My senior sister thought you were going the same way and was going to give you a ride, but you're still ignoring me. Xiao Han came back to his senses instantly, what, really? He had calculated the speed at which he could walk. After getting the dessert, I quickly returned, and by the time I got back, it was almost tomorrow's time. But, the moon-watching sect is different. They have a special means of transportation, Yunzhou. That speed is much faster than his flying in the air. At this rate, he will be able to see his senior brother tonight. Yes, I received a letter from my master. There are some things that need to be dealt with at Xiaoao sect. I saw that you seemed to be in a hurry, so I asked if I could give you a ride. After saying this, Xiao Han bowed and spoke directly, it's a great help. Thank you all, beautiful sisters. Xiao Duya was stunned for a moment, and his eyes twitched slightly. She never expected that a person could undergo such a drastic change in an instant. Where's your expression of disregard? Shi was also stunned. Don't blame him, this change is really huge. At the same time, I am also curious about that senior brother. Whether it is the transformation during the battle or the current change of face. This aroused her great interest. She wanted to see who could make such a gifted child undergo such a big change. Thinking, he spoke, the person who can make you, junior brother Xiao, so nervous must be very outstanding, right? Xiao Han was stunned for a moment, then he reacted and guessed that this senior sister must have heard his previous conversation. He doesn't like others eavesdropping on his privacy. But, as long as you praise me, we are brothers. Well, senior brother is the best. He nodded. Chapter 9. Xiao Hanin. So you and junior brother are so close? You even use this kind of address that only couples can use. Fu Anan said. The expression on his face was no longer as gentle as before, but instead became frowned. It feels like a fairy is judging the criminals who have fallen into the devil's way. Mo Bai waved his hand and said indifferently, you don't understand. This is proof of the good relationship between us men. Fu Anan took a deep breath. If he hadn't received the words from Lin Qingming, he might not have cared. After all, what could possibly happen between two men? But now it's different. That sentence, that kid named Xiao Han is stealing the house and wants to take this salted fish BD to that Longyang road. This sentence completely woke her up. Looking back at the intimate actions of these two guys in the past, they no longer seemed pure in her eyes. But she didn't believe it completely. After all, that was information coming from a top competitor. Maybe it's some kind of strategy of hers. However, after hearing Mo Bai's words Xiao Hanin, the credibility of that sentence instantly increased extremely. She just wanted to figure this out and come up with a corresponding strategy. If you want. Mo Bai paused here. Standing up from the hammock, with a serious look on his face, if you want, I can also call you Xiao An. Hearing this, Fu Anan's originally messy thoughts disappeared instantly. I recalled the sentence just now in my mind, Little Anan. I just said that this is the name for Taoist companions. If he calls me like this now, doesn't that mean he has to admit that I am his Taoist partner, Taoist partner, Taoist partner? Mo Bai held up the hand she was holding, looked into her eyes and said seriously, of course, the prerequisite is that you can help me settle this disciple-taking matter. At this point, his expression paused and his tone began to change. Big sister, you really have to help me this time. If I accept this disciple, I will never have a peaceful life in the future. I'm sure Master has a whole package of plans waiting for me. Yuki Izuan, _ what on earth am I expecting? How could this salted fish have such thoughts? Suddenly, Fu Anan's expression became determined. I remembered what Lin Qingming had just said. The whole person just stood there in a daze. Maybe this guy has been led astray by that little BD named Xiao Han, so he didn't have that idea. The more she thought about it, the more possible it seemed. Although I don't want to admit it, Xiao Han is such a handsome little BD. And the frequency of showing courtesy is so high. This year, I've almost become senior brother's exclusive feeder. No wonder Lin Qingming said our house was robbed. But what's wrong with being sneaked out of the house by a man? At this moment, her mind was completely filled with this one thing. As I thought about it, I became angry. I had the same idea as Lin Qingming, you're still messing around with a man when I'm here with you. No, this is just Lin Qingming's personal opinion. Now let's quickly confirm this matter and find out what the situation is. As soon as this idea came out, it immediately occupied her mind. Everything else has been put aside, and this is the most important thing now. I looked up and met those eyes that were serious and pleading. She has seen this look many times, and she would help most of the time. But now she had no intention of answering. Brother, this is something the headmaster ordered personally. Please go find the headmaster. I have something urgent to attend to, so I will leave first. After saying this, without even a pause, a leaf fell at her feet and carried her straight into the distance. Mo Bai, _ how could this happen? What went wrong? She helped me before when I said this. The elf covered his mouth and laughed secretly. Sure enough, the plot has started to change, whether it's the recruiting of disciples or the characters of the protagonists. Hehe, as expected, just follow the plot. Very soon, everything will be back on track. The girls who should be close to you will be close to you, and the girls who should be hostile to you will be hostile to you. At this point, the elf began to shake his legs and looked at Mo Bai with a smile on his face. Xiao Bibai, as long as we follow the plot, we will transcend sooner or later. Mo Bai glanced at him. Just as he was about to speak, a food box flew over and he reached out to catch it. In the blink of an eye, the figure that had been hiding on the roof had already left. The elf laughed even more happily. Look, junior sister is starting to come back. When she heard you said you were hungry, she immediately brought food over. She's just hiding because she's shy. Mo Bai raised his eyebrows, looked at her and smiled. No, I still think the method I mentioned before is better. The elf was stunned. It randomly turned into a white light and disappeared. Humph, bad silver. A voice also sounded in Mo Bai's mind. At this time, Mo Bai looked down at the food box in his hand. Open it and one dessert after another appears inside. In the past he would smile when he saw these desserts, but now he frowned slightly. I also had some thoughts in my mind. Self-correction of the plot. Does such a thing really exist? Oh, forget it. Why bother with him so much? Just do what you need to do. With my insignificant appearance, it's impossible for me to be a villain. Why are my hands moving? This ice crystal cake is so delicious, it even has jade dragon whiskers. Tisk, after finishing all this, let's go talk to Master. I can't teach my disciples. He also knows that he probably wants to talk to me about something. Sigh. Oh, this smells really good, Xiao Zioxi. Do you want to have a bite? Ding, you gain 30 villain points. Source, Lingzi. Humph, as a system elf, I can survive without eating. I don't need your hypocrisy. That's a shame. Tisk, this unique taste. Ding, you gain 20 villain points. Source, Lingzi. At the same time, by a pond, Lin Qingming and Fu Anan stood side by side, each with a serious look on their faces. Junior sister Qingming, do you understand what you said before? This kind of thing can't be used as a joke. Fu Anan said, his tone full of seriousness. Lin Qingming's expression remained unchanged. Since you can come here, I think you probably have some guesses in your mind, right? I first noticed something was wrong about a month ago. Fu Wen'an's eyes were filled with fear. A month ago? So early. Chapter 10. What? They both slept together. That little BD named Xiao Han is so shy. Impossible, I don't believe it. After a conversation, the two understood the information each other had. The scene also became silent. After a while, Fu Wen'an concluded, it has been confirmed that the boy is interested in me and is trying to lead me down that path. And my brother has been subtly influenced. Even if he didn't agree to do that, he is in a very dangerous situation. Lin Qingming expanded again, based on my observations during this period, that kid adopted the strategy of boiling a frog in warm water. Continuously satisfying senior brother Xianyu's various Xianyu requirements, including food, drink, and daily necessities. He tried to make senior brother dependent on him, but in the end he had no choice but to succumb to him because of these things and beep 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 with him. Having said that, Lin Qingming's expression became even uglier. And what he has done has paid off so far. Look at what senior brother looks like. Xiao Hanan has even been called. Fu Wen'an continued, when I heard that name, I got goosebumps all over my body. Lin Qingming nodded, do you still remember the first words Xiao Han said after receiving the communication jade? Fu Wen'an was stunned and began to recall. Ho ho master, senior brother, I'm in the restaurant now, what do you want to eat? Apart from being a little out of breath, what's the problem? Fu Wen'an asked back. Although I believe it 80%, I won't believe it blindly. The analysis should still be based on normal circumstances. Humph. Lin Qingming sneered and told the story of Mo by sending a message asking him to bring food. Then he integrated the information he had gathered previously and analyzed it again, and according to the information I have learned, that guy should be training in the flame region now. I guess that guy was originally hunting the fire demon, but after receiving this salty fish's news, he gave up and went to the restaurant. Otherwise, why would he be out of breath? Fu An's eyes widened and he continued Lin Qingming's words, in order to satisfy my senior brother's somewhat rude request, I ended my crucial training. If you say I'm not playing a big game, I don't believe it. Then he paused, clenched his fists, and his expression became extremely ugly, damn it. I thought I was paying enough attention to my senior brother, but I didn't expect that there was a little thief who almost stole my house right in front of me. Brother, you are also stupid. When he was hungry, he would go to you or Xiao Han instead of me. I'll admit defeat to you, but I won't be able to rest in peace if I lose to a man. Hearing this, Lin Qingming showed a gratified expression, clapped his hands and said, but it's not too late now. My senior brother sent me a message. It can still be saved. Hearing this, Fu Wen'an was shocked, yes, it's just the beginning now. The battle hasn't even started yet. How can we lose? As soon as I said this, a faint voice sounded in my ears, so, you finally admitted that you have improper thoughts about salted fish. Fu Wen'an was stunned and turned his face away. She came here to work undercover, so naturally she met Mo Bai after Lin Qingming. Although Lin Qingming and Mo Bai seem to be particularly incompatible, due to their long-term appearance, the two have long been labeled a couple. There is no possibility for anyone else to interfere. Although some stories happened between her and Xiao Bai later, they did not reach a certain level. So she has been grasping that balance, waiting for an opportunity to replace it. Who would have thought that a little brother would come out and snatch the man away? Humph, who do you think you can hide your thoughts from? But I can't care about that now. Lin Qingming snorted coldly, and after a moment his expression tensed again, at least don't lose to a man. She really felt the pressure from Xiao Han. That kind of pressure is even greater than the fairy-like guy in front of him. Well, the primary goal now is to resist foreign enemies. Fu Wen'an nodded, and with an idea, he asked a new question, so what's your plan? Lin Qingming narrowed his eyes, it's simple. As long as they are separated for a period of time, this abnormal emotion that has not yet been successful can be transformed into a normal friendship immediately. If that's not possible, don't leave them alone. After hearing this, Fu Wen'an's eyes lit up. In fact, there was another way. That is to get a replacement. Let my brother know that girls are better than stinky men. That is, dedication. However, this method cannot be discussed. Although they have formed an alliance now, the little lowly in front of him is still his enemy. Do it secretly yourself. Not only did he bring down the pervert, but he also defeated this powerful enemy at the same time. It was like killing two birds with one stone. Isn't that wonderful? Thinking, he spoke, based on what he just said, junior brother Xiao Han should be rushing back now. Then the first priority now is to prevent them from meeting. Lin Qingming naturally nodded. Imagine that a guy listened to what you said, quickly bought what he wanted from afar and rushed home to give it to you. Are you touched? I just happen to have a reason to transfer brother over there. Fu Anan said this excitedly. Lin Qingming also guessed it and said with a smile, you mean accepting disciples, said Fu Anan. With this excuse, he could tie Xiao Bai to his side and take him to see those young talents. As the saying goes, love grows over time. Lin Qingming's eyes also brightened up and he nodded, but I don't think that guy will accept it. He will go directly to master to complain. Hearing this, Fu Anan's expression froze. Indeed, this guy would definitely do that. She also knew that what the headmaster really wanted him to do was not to accept a disciple, but something else. The leader did a great job in this matter of sneaking into Chen Kang. Then there was a smile. At this time, I, as the senior sister, need to take action. How can the established rules be changed at will? But don't be afraid, I have corresponding countermeasures. Lin Qingming also continued. Fu Anan immediately restrained her expression, and the two women smiled at each other. Mo Bai, who had finished his dessert and walked down from the hammock, didn't know about it yet. He has been identified as a quasi-gay by these two female protagonists. Chapter 11. This world is called Bawang. The great world of practice. It is composed of many mortal kingdoms and various sects of cultivation. The long-term situation is that good and evil are in opposition, and the two sides are fighting back and forth. In the book, although Xiao Ao sect claims to be neutral, its style is still relatively upright. In the end, under the leadership of the protagonist Xiao Han, he became the biggest giant in the righteous alliance. And now, Xiao Ao sect is somewhere in between the two. Under the leadership of the headmaster Xiao Aozai, he is able to get along with everyone and live a very comfortable life. Mo Bai didn't know if this difference was because of him. However, no matter which direction you look at it from, you cannot deny the fact that Xiao Aozai is a ruthless character. And this ruthless character is Mo Bai's master. The master is also different from the original work. The difference is that after the protagonist Xiao Han entered the sect, his attention to himself did not decrease, but became even more concerned. So Mo Bai is still quite afraid of meeting his master. You're really good at finding trouble for him. But he didn't expect this to be avoidable. Standing at the foot of the mountain, looking at the towering mountain in front, Mo Bai stopped. His brows slightly frowned, and he suddenly held his forehead slightly. Oh no, I suddenly feel a little dizzy. It must be the after effect of the technique. No, I can't go to see master in this careless state. I need to find a place to rest and recuperate first. Having found a reason to convince himself, Mo Bai did not hesitate at all. He walked hurriedly and soon arrived at a place above the river and grass. I found a relatively cool corner, lay down, and closed my eyes. His current practice method is extremely suitable for him, but it has a side effect, which is that he sometimes tends to be sleepy. I still feel this way now, but it's not that strong. It's like you're preparing to do your homework. But suddenly I found that the room was a bit messy, and I started to tidy it up. The principle is the same. Just fell asleep. Fu Anan and the other man did not find him on the Bubai peak, so they came to the main peak below him to look for him. He didn't come? That's impossible. I've already told my senior brother. Given his personality, he will definitely come to challenge you, master. Fu Anan responded after getting the response. Standing opposite them is a girl with her long, bright white hair tied into two buns. Under the white eyelashes are pupils as blue as the sky, calm and peaceful, with an indifferent expression that never changes on the delicate face. He was wearing a wide red robe, had bare feet, and was carrying a large brush on his back. Although he was standing, his height was not much different from Fu Anan's when he was kneeling. He exudes the aura of a strong man honed by time and experience. Although she is a little lowly. But he is also a strong man, the leader of Xiao Ao sect. Shoyoko. Listening to the two people's questions, her expression remained unchanged and she nodded calmly. Well, he didn't come. The master is also waiting for him. Xiao Ao, as I said, although his voice was childish, it carried a sense of indifference and majesty that made people dare not ignore it. But he is not at Bu Beifeng either. With his temper, he will not go out unless something happens. Lin Qingming, who was bowing his head, continued, and after a pause, he continued, how about you use your magical powers to find him, master? Don't you have something important to discuss with him? Xiao Aizai shook his head. I promised him before that I would not explore his whereabouts casually. Having said that, Xiao Aizai paused, his eyes fixed on Lin Qingming's chest. This is probably an achievement she will never achieve in her lifetime. After a glance, he quickly looked away and continued, besides, we have already notified him this time, so he will definitely come over. We just have to wait. Lin Qingming showed an unwilling look on his face, but he didn't say anything in the end. What his master said was what he meant, and what he said was not to be done. By the way, do you have any important matter to discuss with Xiao Bai? Tell me and master will solve it for you. At this time, Xiao Aizai spoke again. Master, it's about my brother accepting a disciple. I think. Fu Anan had just opened her mouth when Lin Qingming interrupted her and said, regarding senior brother's decision to take in a disciple, I don't think it's appropriate. That guy can't even take care of himself, let alone a disciple. So, master, if you want to find him something to do, why not just hand him over to the enlightenment school where I am now? Let him be a lecturer. He can't teach apprentices, but the guy who enlightens them is still competent. Fu Anan instantly gave him a shocked look. Good man, didn't we agree to be allies? Backstab me right away. He also saw Fu Anan's shocked look. Lin Qingming smiled secretly. Do you really think I don't know your little tricks? Forming an alliance is just to use you as a tool to deal with that kid Xiao Han. I will give you such a big loophole? Are you kidding me? And master is definitely not telling you this to ask you to accept a disciple. There must be something going on. Thinking of this, I continued, of course, it was after senior brother started working for master. Anyway, we can't let senior brother be idle like this any longer, otherwise his talent will really be wasted. Hearing this, Xiao Aizai narrowed his eyes slightly and crossed his arms across his chest. After a while, he opened his eyes and looked at the two of them. He stretched out his hand and raised his eyebrows slightly. Lin Qingming skillfully stretched his head over, and Xiao Aizai caressed him kindly. Yes, your idea is very good. Besides, with you supervising him, there is no need to worry about him cheating. Master, I can also supervise my brothers. Fu Anan said hurriedly. Xiao Aizai gave him an indifferent look, as if saying, do you believe this? Fu Anan also had a stunned expression. I recalled what I had done for Mo Bai over the years. He also lowered his head and said nothing. Lin Qingming smiled complacently, patted his chest and said, Master, just leave it to me. After a pause, he continued, by the way, Master, although junior brother Xiao Han has only been a disciple for a year, his talent has already been fully revealed, and he has also wasted a lot of time in the outside world. I think we should give him more experience. Fu Anan. Good man, you're going to kill them all and not let anyone go, right? But, well done. Thinking about it, he took out a dragon-shaped token and said, I had the Dragon Blood Secret Realm entrance token before. Now that my cultivation has exceeded that upper limit, it is appropriate to give it to junior brother Xiao Han. Xiao Aizai showed a relieved expression, seeing you two get along so well, I feel relieved. It should be. Fu Anan replied, and then seemed to remember something and said, by the way, Master, what do you want me to do this time? Xiao Aizai waved his hand, nothing, I just saw that he stayed in the sect for too long, so I took him out for a walk. They both nodded. I didn't think much about it. After all, my master had taken Mo Bai out quite a few times over the years. After thinking about it and asking some questions, the two of them withdrew. After the two left, Xiao Aizai picked up the hot cup on the table and looked outside. The people from the moon watching sect should be on their way, right? Although her expression was indifferent, the slight change in her words betrayed her current mood. Chapter 12. When Mo Bai opened his eyes again, the sky was already shrouded in twilight. Golden rays of light also poured down from the sky. Fall in front of you and beside you. The river below was shining golden, which looked very beautiful. He stood up and looked outside. Oh, it's really comfortable, but the sun is about to set, let's go find master and try to finish the things her brother asked before going to bed. Thinking of this, he walked out of this area and headed towards Piao Miao Mountain. However, before he had taken a few steps, he realized something was wrong. There are too many people on this road. It's not like he hasn't been here before, but today's traffic is particularly high. It's estimated to be about 100 times more than usual. Moreover, they are all dressed like decent people, looking particularly handsome and beautiful. There are both men and women, but judging from the ratio, men are in the majority. There were also some small voices talking. I saw it, it's definitely someone from the moon watching sect. They all have such a unique temperament, and they are all so beautiful, especially the one walking in the front, who looks like someone who walked out of a book. I recognize her. That one is senior sister Shisai. If I can have some stories with her, I would be willing to lose 100 years of my life. Don't waste resources, senior sister. After they finish talking to the sect leader, I'll go and chat with her. I don't care if it works out or not. At least I'm going to have S*X with her. Now at the same place, even without asking, after a moment, Mo Bai basically understood what happened. Without thinking much, he turned around and walked away. Since someone is looking for his master now, it would be bad for him to go out and disturb them, right? Wait until they leave first. Moreover, the people from Wanjiahu's sect are very difficult to deal with. Walk to the grass by the river again and sit down. But this time he didn't fall asleep. Instead, he took out a book and read it carefully. His expression was serious, as if he was reading some secret book. The elf was a little curious, flew out and took a look. Expression, after a moment, he reacted. He flew directly to Mo Bai's eyes, in front of the book, with a serious expression, Xiao Bibai? You're too boring to read the book you wrote yourself, aren't you? Mo Bai looked puzzled. How could I possibly write a book of this type? What a joke! So what on earth did you do in this world? The elf remained serious. I didn't do anything. Upon hearing this, the elf instantly became angry. Her beautiful eyes widened as she flew to Mo Bai's face, pulled his ear, pointed at the book, and yelled, I didn't do anything. There's no way that the tyrannical sect master fell in love with me could have been written by someone from this world. Emperor of the Eight Desolations, this is a serious traditional fantasy novel. How could there be a picture book of this style? Mo Bai slapped it away. Why are you yelling so loudly? After he finished speaking, his eyes returned to the book again. Besides, words are always the lowest cost investment. I have a whole world of creativity, so why shouldn't I use it? Besides, I just wrote a few books to earn some pocket money, but I didn't expect them to follow suit so much. But it's just right. Some people have really big ideas, and the novels and stories they write are also very interesting. Mo Bai said, and turned over again. Ding, you get 50 villain points. Source, Lingzi huff, huff, huff. The elf's chest heaved up and down with anger. He didn't know what he was angry about, but he was just very angry. Things like this shouldn't exist in this world. If something goes wrong, wouldn't the already extremely broken plot be even worse? But think about it, it's not very likely. After all, this kind of storybook usually only circulates in some mortal realms. How could it possibly become popular? However, it doesn't seem surprising that these things really happened to this guy. Thought of this? The elf asked anxiously, these stories aren't widely circulated, are they? Mo Bai still didn't take his eyes off the book. Do you really think this is the internet? Just relying on the circulation of books, how high do you think you can go? After saying that, I ignored it. Although there is a but, now is the time to read. Because the plot has reached its climax at this moment. The female disciple was misunderstood by the domineering sect leader and fled the sect sadly. After the clan leader realized the truth, he was heartbroken and went after him, just as the saying goes. She ran away, he chased her, and they both couldn't escape even if they had wings. Mo Bai couldn't help but complain. I thought the elf would connect instantly, but I didn't expect it to be completely silent. Suddenly a breeze blew, and a shadow appeared behind him. Mo Bai seemed to have noticed something and glanced back. Not far behind him, a tall figure had appeared and was standing there. She had a quiet face, a sky blue dress, and was holding a small book in her hand. Just standing there, she gave people a sense of calm and tranquility. A fairy who walked out of calligraphy and painting. Turning back and looking forward, the sun was setting. The orange-yellow light refracted through the lake, rendering the entire world a layer of orange light. Suddenly, there was a strong breeze blowing the grass, blowing the corners of clothes, blowing the hair. As the sun sets, a boy reads a book by the river, a girl looks very literary, and the breeze blows. Mo Bai's inner thoughts, today's style is very noisy. Thinking of this, Mo Bai shuddered. Suddenly changed from lying position to sitting position, he no longer looked to the side, but stared straight at the riverside. He didn't know if it was an illusion or something, but he felt a burst of BGM, literary girl, sounding around him. No, it's not an illusion, it really exists. Thinking about it, her eyes stayed in front of him, and she kept humming this BGM elf. You, what are you doing? Mo Bai asked. As a system elf, Lingzi's words and her figure can only be heard and seen by Mo Bai. If Mo Bai wanted to talk to her, he didn't need to speak. Just silently chant the name of the elf and think about what you want to say at the same time. So even though he responded like this, the scene remained silent. Yes, but only the rustling sound of the wind. But the elf did not respond and continued to hum the BGM. Mo Bai felt embarrassed and his skin started to break out when he heard this. Although more than 10 years have passed, he still remembers this passage clearly. After all, I laughed until my stomach hurt while watching it. But when it actually happens to you, it's a completely different feeling. The atmosphere and characters are all there, and they are all perfect. And you can tell at a glance that this guy is the shy type. She has already walked to the side. If I leave now, it will be very embarrassing for her. And I'm afraid it's not right to just say hello, it would ruin the atmosphere. But if he really greeted her like in the original book, Mo Bai would be so embarrassed. At this moment, Mo Bai noticed from the corner of his eye that the literary girl began to blush. And he turned his head away. As if she had noticed Mo Bai's gaze, the literary girl tilted her head further. Seeing this, Mo Bai quickly looked away. How embarrassing! The two of them came up with this idea at the same time. Chapter 13. How embarrassing! These 3 words now occupy Shi Si's mind. According to the instructions of my master, she came to deliver some things to the headmaster of Xiaoao sect. She set out this morning and finally arrived in the evening. I just successfully completed this mission, and as soon as I walked out, I saw all kinds of people. She loves reading, has always liked quietness, and likes scenery even more. The Xiaoao sect is well known far and wide, and has many unique and numerous members. So he immediately left the crowd and found a sparsely populated place, ready to appreciate the beautiful scenery and see what it would look like at dusk. As he walked, he came to this place, which was a somewhat remote river bank. It was also very smooth. As soon as I arrived, I saw a beautiful scenery. At dusk, on the grass by the river, there was a young man in white clothes, holding a book in his hands, reading quietly. The breeze blew his clothes and ruffled his hair. And his eyes were always looking at the book seriously. Serious and devout. She was instantly attracted and wanted to go up and talk to him, to join in this beautiful scene. As a book lover, she naturally understands this feeling of being obsessed with reading. She was very happy to meet someone who shared the same interests as her. But even so, it just made him happier. But what really made his heart beat inexplicably was that sentence, she ran away, he chased her, and neither of them could escape. She also wanted to know what book and story the boy was reading. Because this sentence is really a bit sad. She also wanted to watch, so when she came over, she was already standing behind the boy. And it was this stop that suddenly reminded her of something else. The sun sets. On the grassy shore, the breeze blows, the boy and the girl. Isn't this a scene that only exists in books? The scene where the hero and heroine meet. Thinking of this, for some reason, she felt her heart suddenly pounding. The worst thing was that the young man also noticed her arrival and turned around to take a look. The teacher was stunned. This profile was so beautiful. She felt her heart beating so fast, as if it was about to jump out, and her face was so hot, as if it was on fire. Especially when the young man in front of her suddenly sat up and looked at her. She felt her heart was about to beat into her throat. It's just that this scene is so beautiful. But when I calmed down, an infinite desire emerged in my heart. She wants more. I want more of that excitement I just had, I want to get to know this young man in front of me, I want to create a more beautiful picture with him. But it's so embarrassing to speak now. As he thought about it, he lowered his head more and more, constantly looking at Mo Bai. You must understand my expectations when you read a book leisurely in this kind of scene and say those words that summarize the story, right? As he thought about it, he lowered his head and kept casting this kind of glance at Mo Bai for a long time. As for her look, he naturally understood it the first time he heard the elf's background music. Even without saying a word. But when he thought of that scene, he felt embarrassed and wanted to dig out a big villa with his feet. At least, don't use that sentence. Even though it won't have that effect, at least it won't be so embarrassing. Thinking of this, Mo Bai slapped the book in his hand and said, by chance, a strong wind blew past, and a clear and beautiful voice sounded behind him, today's wind is so noisy. The elf who was singing the BGM was stunned for a moment. Mo Bai, my mind went blank. He never expected that this guy would actually say this. Then his body began to tremble, and he pursed his lips, trying to hold it back. He was afraid that he would laugh out loud accidentally. He is now mature enough to guess what the girl was thinking, which is probably, oh my god, I want to die so badly. What's this? It's not because I'm embarrassed, I just want to die. He glanced to the side without leaving a trace, and sure enough, the girl was lowering her head. Mo Bai's peripheral vision clearly noticed that her ears had turned red. For some reason, Mo Bai felt a little guilty. I can't stand it anymore, can't I just cooperate with you? Thinking about it, he turned his head. At the same time, Xi's face was already filled with redness. Her body began to tremble and she felt her brain had turned into a mess. It was an extremely strange feeling. How to say it? It's not that I feel ashamed, I just want to die. I really want to die. At the same time, there was a different kind of pleasure, this particularly contradictory feeling made her tremble all over. Did you screw it up? As he thought about it, he lowered his head and could only see his feet, so he raised his head slightly. And this lift just happened to meet Mo Bai, who was ready to have a good show with her. Seeing Mo Bai's expression, she felt relieved for no reason. He understands me. How will you answer me? Thinking about it, he looked up, his eyes fixed on Mo Bai. That look was like a beast staring at its prey. Mo Bai's heart trembled for no reason when he saw this. Thinking of those words again, a feeling of embarrassment rose from the solace of my feet to the top of my head. He quickly turned his head away. Put the book aside, put your hands on your knees, and stare at the river ahead, but this wind seems to be crying. After finishing speaking, Mo Bai inexplicably found that his voice was trembling a little. After saying this, he also felt an extreme sense of shame. It's that kind of feeling that makes me want to die. In stark contrast to him, Shi trembled all over when he heard this. The excitement in her eyes disappeared, replaced by an indescribable feeling. She quickly turned her head away and covered her chest. She got it, she totally got it. This young man was sad because of the story he had just seen. It seems I have to comfort him, but I can't ruin the atmosphere. Mo Bai shuddered when he saw this scene out of the corner of his eye. It's not that this guy has nothing to do with that literary girl, it can only be said that they are exactly the same. Damn, this guy is excited, absolutely excited. Mo Bai stopped thinking halfway because the teacher moved. After taking a few steps towards him, they were only about 1 meter apart. He could even smell the strange fragrance coming from the girl. Mo Bai admitted that he was a little happy when this guy came. After all, being favored by a beautiful girl is a pleasant thing no matter how you think about it. But, this kind of dialogue is so awkward, he just can't handle it. I really want to go back to the real world. He now understood the protagonist's feelings. He couldn't stay there for even a second. It was too embarrassing. Thinking of this, she was about to stand up, but Shi was one step faster than her. She stretched her right hand slightly behind her head to gather her hair that was blown by the wind, and her eyes became melancholy. This wind will turn into wings and catch up with everything. Mo Bai. Chapter 14. Mo Bai was completely stunned. Then he quickly lowered his head. Both shoulders began to shake violently. Although he didn't say a word, his heart was already thinking, oh ha ha ha, ha ha ha. This guy is hilarious. But the teacher behind him could only see his body shaking and his head lowering rapidly. He narrowed his eyes slightly, feeling a little pity in his heart. She knew the man froze after hearing what she said. It is very likely that he has been moved to tears. Alas, what a sentimental boy. Thinking about it, he took another step forward, and Mo trembled all over, and all his thoughts were instantly cleared. He raised his head again, and the breeze brushed across his cheeks, blowing up a few strands of long hair in front of his forehead, making him look even more artistic and handsome. He appears to be as calm as an old dog on the outside, but he is actually very nervous on the inside. No need, sister, there's really no need to do this again. Although I wrote a few books a few years ago, they were just fun stories and had nothing to do with literature. I really can't stand this kind of atmosphere. But he can think what he wants. The girl was already walking behind him, only 3 steps away from him. Just answer it with peace of mind. I will comfort you. However, what Mo was thinking was, whatever, let's end it by force. I've had enough of this atmosphere. At this time, the elf's background music became faster and more powerful, as if the story had reached its climax. Thinking of this, Mo picked up the books on the ground. He stood up, quietly looked at the sunset in front of him, and turned around after a while. His eyes flashed across Shi Si, lingering for a moment. A hint of admiration flashed in his eyes, and then he quickly left. Although the girl is absolutely beautiful, she also has a special scholarly temperament. But being used to seeing beautiful women, he still had some resistance. But when he saw his complete and comprehensive teacher's words, he was completely stunned. Her face instantly turned red. In the sunset, the literary boy is blessed with a lot of buffs. Mo's charm index in his heart was rising. The already handsome face became even more handsome. But Mo didn't stop because of his days. Start walking. He suddenly thought that it might be okay to just leave like this. Yes, that's it. Slowly walk out of the battlefield. At this moment, the elf flew and sat on his shoulder, and the BGM became louder. She suppressed her urge to express herself, and in just a moment she surpassed this literary girl from another world. However, at this moment, Shi Si spoke, you. Mo's pupil shrank, and he spoke before she could, let's go, before the wind stops. After he finished speaking, he clearly felt his heart stop for a moment. This background music is poisonous, poisonous. But now her spell has been disrupted. So, let's leave quickly while the power of this sentence is still there. Although I was shouting madly in my heart to walk, my steps were neither fast nor slow. Mo doesn't know what happened. Listening to this BGM, I can't help but follow the plot. Let's go before the wind stops. What he meant was that the ending of the book was already predetermined and could not be changed, so the wind could not be caught up with it, and all it could bring was the pain that made people sigh. I see, this is what a sentimental boy he is. Not only that, at this time when he should be gathering with a group of people to play and eat, this boy is sitting alone by the river reading a book, he must be very lonely. Thinking of this, Shi Si's heart trembled for no reason. Let me comfort you. The thought stops here. Everything seems to take a long time, but it is just a blink of an eye. At this moment, Mo just passed her and walked 2 steps away. This distance is just enough for her to turn around and catch the person coming. This is what she thought and did. The movements are smooth and fast. Mo, whose sleeve was grabbed by him, trembled all over. FK, big sister, you have completely fulfilled your wish of chatting up a boy who is reading alone at dusk on the grass by the river. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just leave each other in a dignified manner? Never mind, just force your way out. Mo thought about it, the spiritual energy in his body flowed, and he was about to struggle and break through the air. At this time, the literary girl who held him spoke, I don't cry only when I'm sad, I cry when I'm happy too. This breeze, is happy about our meeting. Mo Omega, this sentence is very normal and touching, especially when it comes from such a beautiful girl. The lethality is even more explosive. But in this BGM, what Mo could feel was the funny thing. In the past, he could usually hold it back, but now he finally couldn't help it. The smile on his face was wildly revealed, and even his body was shaking. I don't know if it's lucky. He was now facing away from the girl, so she couldn't see the expression on his face. This undoubtedly reduced his chance to completely break the barrier. But perhaps this is also a form of protection. After all, if this girl who was so well integrated into the scenery saw his expression, she might just wave her particularly delicate-looking fist. The teacher who said this did not feel embarrassed at all, but felt good about himself instead. Because the boy stopped. And his whole body was trembling. He felt that maybe he was excited. After all, in such a beautiful scenery, I was approached by a pretty woman like me. Perhaps his lonely mood has begun to be melted by himself. But this guy was so shy that he couldn't even speak. But it doesn't matter, let me use this scene to peel open your heart bit by bit. Of course, in the way you would expect. It's coming, a super cool sentence. Thinking of this, she suppressed her excitement and a very beautiful smile appeared on her face. It's no accident that the breeze brought us together. What's your name? After saying this, I also began to comment on his performance just now. The smile is perfect, the artistry is perfect, and the pauses are just right. Except for the first time when she was so embarrassed that she wanted to die, she has already entered the state. Because she felt that this boy was of the same kind as her. Someone who can become a good friend and soulmate. So, young man, open your heart to me, she muttered to herself. And mo by, degree delta degree, there were too many elements in this sentence, and he was unable to react for a moment. At the same time, I also forcefully washed away the thought of leaving just now. He glanced back slightly, just in time to see the girl's intellectual and beautiful face stained with layers of evening light. That smile looked so charming under the setting sun that it made people's heart beat slower. At this moment, it seemed that everything had stopped except for the background music. A sentence popped up in Mo Bai's mind, today's wind is so dazzling. Then the whole person was enveloped by a feeling of embarrassment. He found that his brain and mouth were in sync, and he had already said this sentence. Damn it! Chapter 15. The girl's eyes began to change. From the original 3-point confidence, 3-point excitement, 3-point anxiety, and 1-point inexplicable expectation, to now completely transformed into joy. In the novels he wrote before, Mo Bai didn't believe that such a fan-shaped pattern could be hidden in someone's eyes. But after today, he discovered that it was true. At least that's what he thought. However, he just felt something was wrong now. Just now, he was somehow confused by some strange force. He said that sentence without feeling embarrassed at all. Now thinking back on it, it gave him goosebumps. After saying this, she probably completely thinks that I'm the same as him, right? She wouldn't think that I don't answer my name because I want to keep chatting with her, right? Impossible? Doesn't she feel embarrassed at all? Thinking of this, Mo Bai turned his gaze again and glanced at her. The joy on the literary girl's face was even deeper than before. Damn, this guy seems to be enjoying it. If I get caught by him, I'll be embarrassed forever. Don't panic, first look for a time machine. A time machine? There are thousands of thoughts in my mind, but in reality it only takes a blink of an eye. He also returned to his original state. The only difference is that his body is no longer shaking. He found a way to break this barrier. After some secret movements, he put away the letter Jade in his sleeve. He raised his head slightly and looked at the top of the mountain. Come quickly, master. Your disciple needs you now. Although it feels like a desperate escape, I can't care about that anymore. He was in the middle of a situation, and it was really too cruel for him to do this. The girl's infinite expectations, her pure and passionate feelings, and the kindness hidden in them made him unable to do it. But if this continues, he really won't be able to bear it. If I laugh out loud then, it might hurt this guy even more. On the other hand, I also had completely different feelings. Is it dazzling? I've been praised by many people before, but why am I so happy now? But he must have begun to accept me. Let's continue chatting and pull him out of his loneliness. But since you've shown this expression, I'm afraid it's inevitable that we'll get to know each other. The elf who was playing BGM next to him was even more excited. Mo Bai may not have noticed, but she recognized Shi's identity the first time she appeared. Although she is not the female lead, her role and popularity are much higher than some female leads. It can be regarded as the official CP of the villain Mo Bai. A fairy of literature, extremely beautiful, the dream lover of many male monks in the world of 8 desolations. She met Mo Bai because of some things in books, and they met by chance several times afterwards. In the end, he became a soulmate. When Mo Bai fell into the devil's way, she did not give up this friendship, and even quit the Wanjihu sect that had raised her for many years for Mo Bai. He kept searching for Mo Bai's trace, trying to get him to turn back. Unfortunately, Mo Bai was already immersed in the struggle with Xiao Han at that time. Her persuasion had no effect at all, and she was even taken advantage of by Mo Bai. In the final epic battle, she died a martyr. trying to wake up Mo Bai. Unfortunately, this did not wake Mo Bai up, but made him even crazier. It really caused a lot of trouble for the protagonist. It can be said that she was partly responsible for Mo Bai's ability to put the entire world into such a great predicament in the end. But even so, her popularity is still higher than some female protagonists. She has such a good temper. So now that he has encountered such a character, how could the elf let him go? This is a great helper. With her around, wouldn't the villain value come rushing in? Moreover, in this situation and scene, isn't this the best scenario for getting to know each other? So she released that BGM without hesitation, giving the two of them an assist. So far, the results are pretty good. Although they had only been together for less than a day, he was already very familiar with Mo Bai. If she didn't give him some guidance, this guy wouldn't have been able to follow the plot at all. If the host is not up to the task, only this system can take action. Hey, life is not easy, the system is performing. She couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Of course, the BGM still didn't stop. Then he turned his head again and looked at the teacher who was ready to go. Come on, let me see how you would answer, ha ha ha, this is so interesting. Yes, at this moment, Shi Si also adjusted her mood, her cherry lips slightly parted, the wind blows. Xiao Bai, let's go. Before she could finish, a somewhat childish but unquestionable voice came from above. Turning around, I saw a lowly in red clothes and carrying a brush floating there. Xiaoko. Shi Si was stunned. A sense of panic rose in his heart for no reason. Is this dreamlike scene coming to an end? But I haven't saved this boy yet. Mo Bai was naturally ecstatic. He had never thought that his master's indifferent face, which remained unchanged for thousands of years, was so handsome. As if he had noticed his gaze, Xiao Aizai slightly raised his head and looked into the distance. At this time, a strong wind blew over, and she spoke at the right time. The wind is getting stronger. Mo Bai, master, I asked you to save me, why did you suddenly become so dramatic? Never mind, this is also a reason, let's go quickly, just go like this, it will be good for everyone. Thinking of exerting force with his hands, he pulled away the corner of his sleeve that was grabbed. The expression on Shi Si's face instantly changed from loss to joy. Looking at this situation, I think we can understand more about it. It is best to ask clearly about the situation, so that it will be convenient for future treatment. However, I have to use the method that this junior fellow likes. Thinking about it, he moved his hand, grabbed the sleeve that Mo Bai had just pulled open, and said, I heard it. This wind was calling our names. I only heard the word master's words. Did you hear the rest? Mo Bai was stunned, and his heart moved. Then he shook his shoulders and shook the elf off. Damn it, he actually felt an inexplicable tremor in his heart just now? This is definitely the BGM's fault. The teacher did not stop speaking, but narrowed his eyes slightly, stretched out his other hand, and gathered his hair that was blown by the wind, looking as if he was listening. After a while, he moved his lips and whispered, I heard another white word. Mo Bai was stunned. Even though he knew that he guessed it because of the word Xiao Bai that his master had said before, he couldn't help but feel moved and subconsciously turned his head to look. At this time, Xiao Aizai, who was standing not far above their heads, stretched out her delicate little hand. The wind stopped. The teacher, who seemed to be listening attentively, also froze. The hair that was originally flying in the air finally fell down. Well, how embarrassing. Chapter 16. At this moment Mo Bai finally couldn't help but chuckle. He doesn't want to either. But he really reached his limit. He had been enduring a lot, and he never expected that this guy would become even more outrageous. No, this is not her fault. It's because my master is causing too much trouble. But this pretend listening look is so funny. Although that string had been touched, Mo Bai still did not laugh out loud. Instead, after this chuckle, he quickly suppressed his emotions. But even so, there was still a smile on his face that was hard to conceal. Seeing this, Shi Si, who was already feeling extremely embarrassed, became even more embarrassed. Lowered his head. This time, not only the ears, but even the snow-white neck turned red. His whole body was trembling, and the little hand that was holding Mo Bai loosened. It was also at the moment when he let go that Mo Bai felt a force of air lifting him up. He was stunned, and the book he was holding fell to the ground. At the same time, he rushed straight upwards, and in just a moment, he had arrived next to his master Xiao Aizai. Mo Bai hurriedly whispered, "Go, go, master, go quickly." After hearing what Mo Bai said, Xiao Aizai did not stop at all. With a wave of her hand, the two of them disappeared from the spot. When he appeared again, he was already on the observation pavilion of Piao Miao Pavilion where Xiao Aizai was. This is the best place to view the Xiao Ao Gate. You can see almost 30% of the scenery of Xiao Ao Gate, including mountains, peaks, rocks, dense forests and waterfalls. And it is also the best place for training. After all, this is where the sect leader lives. What would happen if it was in bad condition? Xiao Aizai landed directly on a dark platform and leisurely picked up a cup of hot tea. And Mo Bai stood up in a somewhat embarrassed manner. At this time, after taking a sip of hot tea, Xiao Aizai spoke, "Aren't you complaining about the strong wind and being unable to speak? I stopped the wind for you, so why are you asking me to bring it back?" Mo Bai also stood up and walked to the table, poured himself a cup of tea and took a sip. "Well, we can't embarrass the girl, that would be so awkward." Hearing this, Xiao Aizai paused for a moment, looked through the observation deck outside, looked at the scenery below, and said, "The wind is very noisy today." Mo Bai. The voice is melodious and without a trace of emotion. But Mo Bai felt a deep malice in it. This is his master Xiao Aizai. Although he looks indifferent and seems to be uninterested in anything. But in fact, he is a natural black, and when he is blacking you, he will give you the impression that he is very naive and innocent. He had been spying on her all along, but he didn't show up until his disciple sent him a message asking for help. It makes people feel itchy, but they can't do anything about it. You ask why? Because I can't beat it at all. Don't be fooled by the fact that she only looks like a loli and has a pair of small pink fists. But if you get hit by that pink punch, you might die. The loli master who silenced Mo Bai did not stop in the end. Holding the tea in both hands, he continued to look outside and spoke calmly, "But this wind seems to be crying." Mo Bai degree delta degree, he couldn't help it, this was simply a public execution. But he still kept his head down and said nothing. It would be better to just keep quiet, if there is some reaction. This naturally black master will only go further. Anyway, as long as I'm not embarrassed, then, the embarrassing thing is, this guy won't be embarrassed at all. There was always only one expression on her face. At this time, Master Loli silently took another sip of tea, then held the teacup and spoke again, "Today's wind is so dazzling. Mo Bai degree, patience, if you cannot be patient, great plans will be ruined. Let's go quickly, while the wind is still blowing." Mo Bai, is this the last sentence? Just bear with me for now and let me see what you say next. Damn it, if I didn't have to tell you about my apprentice, I would have taken this opportunity to leave immediately. It's no accident that the breeze brought us together. Stop, master, what do you want to do? Just tell me. Hearing this, Mo Bai couldn't help but take a breath. He really couldn't get used to this sentence. This weird combination of jokes made him feel too uncomfortable. There was no change on Xiao Aizai's face. He frowned and looked at Mo Bai closely. Mo Bai was startled, Master? Just tell me what you want me to do." Xiao Aizai then spoke, "Is it because I didn't imitate him well? Xiao Bai, why do you feel that your reply to my words is different from your reply to Xiaoxi's words? Poetry? This person looks so literary, I didn't expect the name is also so literary." Mo Bai immediately connected. He naturally knew that poetry was talking about that literary girl, but he was stunned halfway through. The two words poetry instantly began to overlap with the name of a person in my mind. After going through the personality and appearance, Mo Bai confirmed it. She was the only female supporting character in that book who cared about him. To be honest, when he just finished reading the book, he was wondering if he would miss such a woman because he took a different path. I didn't expect to run into it by accident, and it's even more literary, awkward, than the original. Maybe there really is a force in the dark. Mo Bai thought so. Is it because I didn't learn it well? Xiao Aizai said at this time. Then he took out a round black stone. Mo Bai came back to his senses instantly and exclaimed, "Shadow stone! Master, you are too cruel, secretly taking photos of your disciple." As soon as he finished speaking, the stone on the table emitted images and sounds. Even with Mo Bai's thick skin, he couldn't help but get angry. This time, he was whipping the corpse repeatedly. "Hey, master, your hairstyle seems a little crooked. I will tie it up nicely for you right now," Mo Bai said hurriedly. He did not try to grab the photo stone on the table. He knew that as long as his master didn't want to, he would have no chance to do anything with the stone. At this time, all we have to do is please this lowly master. In response to his statement, Xiao Aizai just nodded calmly, but there was already a hint of smile in his eyes. Before this apprenticeship, she had two hobbies: manage the sect and practice. After accepting this apprentice, her interests expanded to three areas: manage the sect, practice, and bully him. It is worth mentioning that there are four interests now: manage the sect, practice, bully disciples, and read storybooks. At this moment, Mo Bai walked behind her very skillfully. He said, "Master, am I moving?" Xiao Aizai nodded calmly. Then Mo Bai untied the restraints. Chapter 17. The bright white hair is like a waterfall, flowing through the fingers, smooth and silky. Although this bun looks small, it almost falls to the ground when the hair is completely untied. It's not because it's too long, but because my master is sitting cross-legged. The fingers were spread apart, and a silky touch came from the fingertips. You know what, it's quite comfortable. Without any hesitation, he began to move his fingers slowly and steadily. He remembered that when he first started practicing, those were also the years when he was most eager to practice. In order to please this master, he used every possible means: food, drink, and fun. He proposed an idea, and this master implemented it. At that time he also mentioned many small competitions and some small games, for example, Go Bang, Dowdy and the like. Of course, he always lost in the end, even though he had the upper hand and more experience. After all, the opponent is a cheater. But he still won once, and he won by being shameless. See who can pee farther. The result was that Xiao Aizai admitted defeat, otherwise he wouldn't have won in a real fight. This bun hairstyle was the one his lowly master asked him to tie when he was in a losing situation. In fact, it's not just this one. However, his own lowly master likes this prince hairstyle, which made him complain for a while. She is clearly an old woman of unknown age, but she still likes this kind of little girl hairstyle, although her body is indeed that of a lowly. It is worth mentioning that his title as master it is also a better name that has been derived from the constant abuse in the past few years. He found that every time he yelled like that, Xiao Aizai would go easier on him. Between thought and action, two buns appeared brilliantly. "All right, perfect, you are worthy of being my master, you are so beautiful." Mo Bai returned to his original position and spoke. "In fact, it is more accurate to say that she is cute. But my master likes the word beautiful." To be honest, he had never seen anyone cuter than his own master. Lin Qingming is sexy and cute. How can he look like Xiao Aizai? He seems to be the grown-up version of Qiaduo. Xiao Aizai also nodded with satisfaction. The next moment, the photo stone on the table exploded and disappeared. Mo Bai's face lit up with joy, which was a sign that his master was in a better mood. At the same time, he was somewhat confused, so he just destroyed the character that was not quite in line with his master. According to my expectation, she should keep it and then take it out to tease me after some time. As if he also saw Mo Bai's doubts, Xiao Aizai looked at him and said, "I don't like this gust of wind because I feel like it's going to take away something important from me, so I stopped it and dispersed it." Mo Bai. The shock is beyond words. What the hell? How come these people can all follow these lines? Is this the inertia of the world? Or do they all have this script? The elf also flew past Mo Bai's ears with a look of shock on his face, with a look of surprise on his face. "Is your master also a time traveler? Could it be that she is testing you now?" Mo Bai, who was in a state of extreme shock, was also fooled by this passage. Looking at Xiao Aizai who still had an indifferent expression in front of him, he said something that was known as the secret code of a time traveler: "Odd changes but even doesn't." There was silence at the scene. After a while, Xiao Aizai spoke, "Is this a new bad joke?" Mu Bai also came back to his senses in an instant and secretly cursed himself for being an idiot. How could my own master be a time traveler? If that was true, then she would have seen through the poker and go games he had played in the past few years and revealed his identity. But there is also a guy next to me who is disturbing my thoughts. Thinking about it, the idea moved slightly, Xiaolingzi, as a system, can't you tell whether a person is a time traveler or not? The elf said confidently, your master is too powerful. My level is too low. I can't see clearly or check. Tisk, what a crappy system. Mo Bai responded, and at the same time put his mind back on his lowly master. He frowned, stood up abruptly, walked to the back, and began to exert force. He thought that his master felt that bullying him was not enough. Resistance at this time would only make things more miserable, so it would be better to just go along with her. How is it, master? My skills haven't deteriorated, have they? Is it comfortable? The position is correct, but the strength seems not enough. Okay, master, get ready. How about I use my strength? Does it feel good? It's strong enough, but so slow. Speed up now. Yet. Feeling the appropriate strength and the comfortable and soft feeling on his shoulders, Xiao Aizai nodded with satisfaction. Seeing this, Mo Bai also felt that the story of the literary girl was almost over. Then the next thing is to talk about accepting a disciple. While gently squeezing her little shoulders, she spoke, Master, I received the message you asked senior sister to bring me. But I have only been a disciple for 10 years, and I have encountered many setbacks along the way. I am only half-baked in the techniques I have learned. Is it inappropriate for me to accept a disciple? Xiao Aizai held up the teacup and spoke slowly, so spend less time sleeping and more time practicing to enrich yourself, so that you can be a disciple. I am also at the age where I want to see my disciple. There are 6 disciples under the master. Mo Bai ranked 3rd, followed by Fu Anan, Lin Qingming and Xiao Han. Mo Bai had never seen the first 2. I just heard that they were twins, and were sent by their master to do some important mission. Mo Bai, who had read the original novel, naturally knew that they were going undercover. As soon as Mo Bai reached the required level of cultivation, he moved out and established his own peak. Therefore, among these 5 people, only he is qualified to recruit disciples. It was reasonable to say that to him, but... Master, you look very young. Mo Bai paused for a moment, ready to get to the point. It's okay to take in a disciple in a few years when I have gained more experience. Now, it's more important to solve the worries of Master. From the moment I saw you, I felt that you were not very impressive. You seemed to be a little worried, as if you were bothered by something. Tell your disciple that you will go through fire and water without hesitation. Mo Bai said generously that in his opinion it was just some running errands or doing some small things. During these years, he has also experienced a lot. Anyway, just don't take him out. Xiao Aizai nodded and spoke. It's nothing serious. I just haven't been out with you, Xiao Bai, for a long time. I wanted to take you out for a walk. Mo Bai's whole body stiffened, and the hands that were pinching his shoulders trembled. His face changed from a heroic look to a serious one. Master, I feel like I'm really old enough to take in a disciple. Chapter 18. Go out with your own master? Stop it. Once she was having fun, she would only leave herself the minimum means to save her life, to ensure that she would not die, and then she would go out and have fun. If it weren't for the skills I've cultivated over the years, I might have already broken my arms and legs. After all, this lowly is the leader of a family. How could the places she goes to be ordinary places? Ancient secret realm, demon cave. It was so thrilling. So he chose to take an apprentice. A disciple. Just find someone to deal with it. If you like him, give him some resources and let him do what he wants. If he knew that Xiao Aizai wanted him to go out and play this time, he would definitely not come here just now to bother. But you can't blame him for this. After all, his lowly master has been very well behaved in the past 2 years. It was just some minor things, who knew that suddenly there would be such a big surprise. However, Xiao Aizai did not show any emotion at his rapid change of expression. It was as if she had expected this change. She took a sip of tea slowly and said, forget it then. It looks like I'll be the only one going to Food Fairy Town this time. Mo Bai raised his eyebrows and couldn't help swallowing. Food Town, the most peculiar place in the world of Bawang. Praise for her food. Legend has it that it was created by a food fairy and contains countless rare and spiritual foods. It is said that 80% of the world's delicacies are in it. Spiritual food is not only delicious but also can help you improve your cultivation. There are also some rare dishes that have special uses. Break through bottlenecks, detoxify and nourish the skin, Practice martial arts. It is a holy place that all the spirit chefs in the entire world yearn for. Mo Bai has only been there once in the past 19 years. That time, he completely emptied his family's assets. 4 dishes. But it is also great value for money. That taste, that feeling, even now when he thinks back on it, he still feels a sweet sensation. But he decided to refuse. After all, no matter how good the thing was, he didn't want to make such a fuss anymore. His master was really good at making trouble and he just couldn't handle it. And the most important thing is that he has no money at all. He also didn't expect his master to take him out for good food and drinks. Master, if you enjoy your meal, then. But before he could finish, the elf started yelling in his ear, go, go, go quickly. Host, at this point in time, don't you realize it yet? This is a small climax. Mo Bai was stunned for a moment, and only came to his senses after a moment. The plot about Shixian Town began to appear in my mind. To sum up, Shixian Town held a spiritual chef conference which is held once every 100 years. Under normal circumstances, this would be a competition among talented chefs, a paradise for diners, and the best place for single men and women to meet. The bad thing is that the protagonist of this immortal eating conference is participating. As we all know, wherever the protagonist is involved, something major will definitely happen. The demon cult also appeared in this incident, demonstrating its strength. If it is according to the original book, this trip to Shixian Town will be very exciting, very thrilling, and very enjoyable. Mo Bai never liked this kind of troublesome and dangerous situation, so. It was just a joke, master. A real man should stick to his word. If I say I will go through fire and water, I will never back down. If I say I will accompany you, I will never back down. When are we leaving? Are you kidding? How could I not go? What Mo Bai didn't like was getting involved in such troublesome and dangerous things. Standing aside and eating dessert while watching the show, this kind of thing is simply beautiful, right? In the original novel, this is the first time that the demon cult makes a strong appearance, and it is also the first battle in which the protagonist shows his prowess. At that time, he was led by Xiao Aizai throughout the whole process and he didn't take any action during the whole process. I just quietly watched the protagonist show off, feeling that I was being robbed of the limelight, and I felt bad. This also laid the groundwork for his dark transformation. It's different now, he is no longer himself. So this time, he got to eat the dessert and watch the show. However, Xiao Aizai, who received his response, was somewhat confused. How come the situation has turned around now? She hasn't even used her killer move yet? It's a pity that I didn't get to see Xiao Bai's expression change so quickly. Happiness -1. Tomorrow, you must be ready. I will pick you up then. Okay, master, just call me when the time comes. Mo Bai said, his hands still moving, after a while. Xiao Aizai said, well, Xiao Bai, please leave. I need to practice. Mo Bai didn't hesitate, he stood up, nodded and walked out. The scenery here is very beautiful, but he still feels that his own little nest is more comfortable. Mo Bai was in a good mood when he walked out of the pavilion. Not only did I get rid of the need to recruit disciples, but I also got to eat for free and watch a good show. It was great. Thinking of this, his heart moved, and he looked at Lingzi who was sitting on his shoulder. Well, I didn't expect you to be useful. Although the elf was a little unhappy, he still didn't care. He raised his little hand and said excitedly, although Xiao Ao sect has been messed up by you, the troublemaker, other things are still going on as usual, and the plot is still there. We will be able to take off sooner or later. Mo Bai nodded without objection, after all, this time he was on the same side as the elf. Follow the development of the plot, be a spectator. Where's my book? Mo Bai suddenly stopped halfway through his walk, and after a moment, he shook his head and continued walking. It must have fallen to the ground when master was pulling it away. Never mind. That literary girl got it for free. Having said that, he continued to walk away. At the same time, Xiao Aizai, who was sitting at the desk and confirmed that Mo Bai had completely left, put down the hot tea in his hand. Then he moved his hand slightly, and a book appeared inside. For just a moment, Xiao Aizai's sky-blue pupils rested on the book cover. After a while, he finally sighed, so you like this? It seems that I haven't done enough. As he said this, he opened the book and began to read it carefully. As the pages progressed, his originally indifferent expression began to change slightly, becoming more serious. After she finished reading the last page and closed the book, she looked out into the distance at the night scenery. There was a hint of understanding on the little face. Do all disciples nowadays like this kind of master? Learn it. Thinking about it, his eyes dropped again. The words "the domineering sect leader fell in love with me" on the book cover are particularly eye-catching. After a while, he put away the books and took out another one, The Master of Demonic Dao. This book was recommended to her by her old friend from the moon-watching sect, who said it was very powerful and that she would definitely become addicted after reading it. Chapter 19. At this moment, on Bubai Peak, in the courtyard where Mo Bai was, there were 3 figures. The 3 of them sat on the stone chairs. The scene was very quiet, so quiet that it was eerie. Finally, someone couldn't help it. Big sister. What's wrong? Junior brother. Shouldn't you be handling official business at this point in time? I'm just handling official business now. Is it about my senior brother? All right. Xiao Han sighed, the corners of his mouth twitching slightly. Handling official business? You are clearly dealing with me. Although you tried your best to avoid me, your eyes were full of vigilance when you looked at me from time to time. Hey, senior sister. I haven't offended you in any way, have I? On the contrary, you deliberately disturbed me when I was talking to my senior brother today. I didn't argue with you about this. But what happened? Why is even senior sister Qingming here? Thinking about it, Guan turned to look at Lin Qingming. Senior sister Qingming, is there something that brings you here for me? Humph. Lin Qingming snorted coldly and said, why can't I be here? Xiao Han. Why do I feel like the way my 2 senior sisters look at me has changed after I went out? He met these 2 sisters when he was sending the people from Wanjiahu's sect to Piao Miao Pavilion, where his master was. And then nothing happened. These 2 people have been following me until now. Especially the senior sister. Under normal circumstances, she should stay beside her master and then go to receive the group from the Wanjiahu sect. But now, she had put all these things aside and followed closely behind him. As if he was about to do something terribly evil. Sure enough, dealing with interpersonal relationships is really tiring. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but sigh. It was not until his eyes rested on the hammock under the 2 jujube trees that the corners of his mouth curled up. But I don't have this concern with my senior brother. It's so relaxing to be with my brother. It's getting so late, isn't it time for brother to come back? It's just in time for dinner. Thinking of this, the smile on his face became brighter. To be honest, he had never seen anyone with that kind of expression while eating. That expression of extreme happiness, as if he was about to take off. Looks very good. And it's extremely contagious. Naturally, his appearance was seen by the 2 women sitting next to him. The 2 men narrowed their eyes, which instantly became as sharp as knives. Fu Anan's heart, isn't this the expression I have when I think of my senior brother? This guy, as expected. Lin Qingming, what a sin. Luckily I came here, otherwise it would be a dark and windy night, and I would be alone. The next moment, the 2 of them subconsciously turned their heads to look at each other, even without transmitting sound. At this moment, they were also able to discern the information in each other's eyes. Get him out. Fu Anan spoke first, Junior brother, it's getting late. If you have anything to say, please tell me. Senior sister will pass it to senior brother together with you, just go back without worry, you just came back from training, you need to rest well. Lin Qingming continued, experience is only the skill of the hands after all. The real understanding can only be gained through meditation and summary. Junior brother, what you need now is a quiet environment. Xiao Han came back to his senses instantly and said with a smile, what the 2 senior sisters said is true, but senior brother Mo Bai told me before that I shouldn't rush into seclusion after my training. He wants to help me consolidate my knowledge. The 2 of them widened their eyes instantly. You are such a good senior brother. You are giving special training to your junior brother, right? No wonder he has made such rapid progress. Lin Qingming just felt unhappy. This was originally my position. Fu Anan was screaming in his heart. Mo Bai had also given him some pointers and training in the past 2 years, but after that, his interest in him faded. Gong, what is the method of consolidation? Lin Qingming asked. Xiao Han was stunned and said, I'll explain it once, and then you can give me some suggestions. If it's complicated, you can take action. Hearing this, Lin Qingming nodded with relief. This is also in line with the style of the salted fish who would rather speak than take action. Suddenly, she seemed to remember something and spoke again, so that day you just sparred and got tired of giving instructions, and then you both ended up lying on the bed. After saying this, he stared at Xiao Han with his eyes fixed. Now was an opportunity to confirm it again. Fu Yinan naturally also realized the key to this incident. He turned his gaze and stopped on Xiao Han. The situation at that time emerged in Xiao Han's mind. There was a hint of blush on his face, which, combined with his handsome and enchanting face, made people's blood pressure rise. The two of them felt a jolt in their hearts, but they quickly covered it up. At this time, Xiao Han spoke, "Well, it was like this. That secret realm was very dangerous to me at the time. I was exhausted when I came out. In addition, with the guidance of my senior brother. That's understandable, but how does it feel to sleep with senior brother? Is it comfortable?" Fu Yinan said. The corner of Xiao Han's mouth twitched, but seeing Fu Yinan's serious expression, he knew that she was asking seriously. "I feel a little smug. After all, it's really comfortable. Although I was just sleeping next to him, I felt as if I was wrapped in a ball of warm sunshine and felt very comfortable." That sleep was the most comfortable sleep he had had in the past 10 years. He probably guessed a little about what this senior sister was thinking. But it's such a pity, I'm probably the one who has the best relationship with my senior brother now. Senior sister, are you kidding? How can it be comfortable for two grown men to lie together? Lin Qingming crossed his arms. The tone was a little cold, but to Fu Yinan, this sentence was full of sourness. The two of them tried frantically, but Xiao Han just gave an awkward yet polite smile. "That's right." Fu Yinan scratched his head, but after a moment he remembered something. He stood up, walked to a large open space, and said with a smile, "Since senior brother is not here now, I will take his place and summarize what you have gained from this experience for you." Lin Qingming immediately gave him a nice look. "That's right, after the competition, let's see if he has any reason to stay here." Xiao Han raised his eyebrows, "No." However, before he could refuse, Lin Qingming turned around and said, "Could it be that junior brother thinks that senior sister is not qualified to instruct you?" "Ah, this." Xiao Han's mouth twitched, but he finally stood up. "Take 3 or 2 steps to the other side. Big sister, please give me some advice." Fu Yinan waved his hand, signaling to attack. Xiao Han did not stop either. He used his body skills and turned into a phantom as he rushed forward. This is the Xiaoao step, a physical skill created by Xiaoao. Fu Yinan narrowed his eyes, twisted the energy in his body, and took similar steps. But it is steadier and faster than Xiao Han, and has more changes. In the blink of an eye, they collided, punched and kicked each other, and the next moment, a figure with silver hair flew backwards, and soon flew out of the wall. Looking at the figure flying backwards, Fu Yinan chased after him and said, "The Xiaoao step emphasizes the harmony between the body and the environment, and it is done as one wishes." He stopped talking midway because a figure was slowly approaching. As if after extremely quick calculation, the figure that she knocked out with her palm actually landed in that exact position. When the figure saw the person falling, he also reached out his hand. "Just catch it, no, senior brother." Xiao Han also exclaimed. "What happened?" Noticing the noise, Lin Qingming also came out and said. Chapter 20. Lin Qingming felt that his current mood was very strange, so strange that it was hard to describe. The salted fish that I have raised at home for almost 10 years is hugging a person in an extremely beautiful posture. One hand around the waist and the other hand around the legs, princess hug. Logically speaking, she should have felt extremely disgusted. After all, these are 2 men. And he still used this posture. But for some reason, she felt a sense of harmony. Could it be because they are good looking? As soon as this thought came to her mind, she suddenly felt angry. No, it was a chill. This chill rushed straight from the solace of the feet to the top of the head. Because the little junior brother who was held in his arms by Xianya blushed, he actually blushed. Mo Bai also looked confused. He doesn't understand what's going on. He was just going home normally, how come a protagonist fell from the sky? But by chance, I caught it. Don't let it break. Thinking about it, he looked at Fu Yinan and the others with some confusion and asked, what's going on? After he finished speaking, he put Xiao Han down. After all, it was a bit awkward for two grown men to do this. Fu Yinan and the others breathed a sigh of relief when they saw this. It seemed that their senior brother had not reached that level yet. But the next moment, Mo Bai's action made them tense again. Mo Bai stretched out one hand and hooked Xiao Han's shoulder directly, then pointed at them with the other hand and said to Xiao Han, "Xiao Hanin, did your two senior sisters team up to bully you? If so, tell me and I will take care of it for you." At this moment, the elf sitting on Mo Bai's shoulder had his eyes brightened and spoke, "Plot correction, definitely plot correction, these two heroines have already started to fall in love with the protagonist." Mo Bai was indeed unreasonable. This guy became like this when he found out that those big plots were still there. Whatever you watch, you'll see the plot correction. Seeing the intimate actions of Mo Bai and Lin Qingming, he felt flustered. He then focused his gaze on Mo Bai's expression of "brother standing up for you." Could it be possible that senior brother Xianyu has been completely conquered by this junior brother? As for Mo Bai's sudden action, Xiao Han appeared relaxed. A smile appeared on his face. It was the same as always. My senior brother is like this. He can make people feel relaxed with just one word or one action. No, senior sister is helping me absorb the experience gained from my training. Xiao Han said. Reading is to gain experience, and writing is to improve favorability. He really deserves to be the protagonist, the elf analyzed. At this time, Xiao Han said excitedly, "Let's not talk about this, brother, come, eat." After saying that, he pulled Mo Bai directly into the house. Mo Bai's eyes also lit up. "I haven't had Yanyu's desserts in a long time." After finishing speaking, he turned to look at Lin Qingming and the others. "What are you waiting for? You're not active in eating. Is there something wrong with your brain?" As he spoke, Xiao Han had already pulled him towards the door, and Lin Qingming, who was blocking the door, subconsciously moved aside. It wasn't until the two men passed her and sat on the stone bench that she came to her senses. His expression was a little dazed, and he looked up at Fu Yinan with a confused expression. Fu Yinan's expression was not much different from hers, and he walked beside her in 2 or 3 steps. Lin Qingming smiled and said, "Well done, Fu Yinan." Then he said helplessly, "You can't blame me for this. Who knew that my senior brother would come at such a coincidence?" Alas! Lin Qingming sighed, "This is not important now. What is important is brother's attitude. Did you notice the degree of his attitude just now? This degree is not too bad. I've seen many fellow apprentices who are close to each other do this kind of thing. And considering your lively personality, this is very normal." Fu Yinan said. After all, she is the eldest sister of Xiaoao sect and has many things to deal with. Naturally, she has more experience than Lin Qingming, and she has seen many situations like this. Hearing this, Lin Qingming was stunned. The thought flashed through my mind and I thought about it carefully, and it was indeed the case. She felt that Xiao Han had also made her nervous, and she hadn't even thought of this. And the important thing now is to stop the two of them from being alone. Fu Yinan said as he walked towards the house. Lin Qingming turned around and looked back. At this moment, the stone table was already filled with various desserts. And that junior brother Xiao Han was standing next to his senior brother Xianyu with a smile on his face, still constantly taking out desserts, looking proudly and asking for praise. Lin Qingming, it's still so frustrating. Thinking that his expression remained unchanged, he walked quietly inside. Unfortunately, the 2 seats next to Mo Bai were taken, so I had no choice but to sit opposite him. And Mo Bai has already started eating. His hands were constantly moving and there was a happy smile on his face that only appeared when he was eating dessert. Seeing this, Lin Qingming's mouth corners curled up. This guy only looks cute when he eats these things. Then his brows began to frown. Xiao Han was also looking at senior brother Xianyu. And there was an extremely doting smile on his face. His hands were constantly moving, and he would put away the plate every time Mo Bai finished eating. Then he took out new ones and added them in. This time the speed was ridiculously fast. "Brother, eat slowly, there is still a lot here," Xiao Han said with a smile. Fu Yinan, who had just placed her hand on a plate of dessert next to Mo Bai, was stunned. Now when she turned her attention to this point, she realized that this junior fellow disciple had surpassed them by so much. Lin Qingming also understood where that strong feeling of threat came from. This man is too considerate. No, we can't just sit there and wait for death. Suddenly she raised her eyebrows. His eyes were fixed on the corners of Mo Bai's mouth, where there were some broken desserts. He was absorbed in it and began to search in his storage bag. His eyes lit up and he took out the handkerchief he was carrying, ready to fight back. And the moment she took it out, she was stunned. A white handkerchief also appeared in Fu Anan's hand. And it's already started. Her face darkened, one after another. Why are her eyes so sharp? At this time, Fu Anan had already handed over the handkerchief and said with a smile, "Brother, you are too impatient. Come, wipe it." Lin Qingming. "So if you don't help to wipe it, then it's okay. Wipe it after you finish eating." Mo Bai responded, without stopping his hands and mouth. At this time, Xiao Han, who had been watching from the side, also smiled and said, "Brother, just eat with peace of mind." After saying that, he moved the handkerchief over and wiped off the obvious residue. The whole process was harmonious and natural, as if it was supposed to be this way. "Why are you so skilled?" The two of them had this idea at the same time and looked at each other. Lin Qingming, Fu Anan. Chapter 21. These two people are too harmonious, making me feel like an outsider. Lin Qingming thought. Ming, obviously I was the one who came here first, and why didn't I think of this? Fu Anan's face also looked a little scary. Suddenly, the two of them turned to look at each other in tacit understanding, their eyes revealing one message: hurry up and destroy it. They nodded in tacit understanding, then looked away. Fu Anan looked at Xiao Han and spoke first, "Junior brother, in the fight just now, although you grasped the opportunity well, your physical foundation is a little weak." Xiao Han also stopped and looked up. "Indeed, I didn't even use my spiritual energy, but senior sister found my weakness in the blink of an eye. I was completely powerless after one blow. It seems that I really need to make up for my shortcomings in this area." Hey, I told you, the plot is getting back on track, and the heroine has started to get in touch with the protagonist. The elf found an opportunity and tried to interrupt Mo Bai's meal. But Mo Bai just glanced at her and was too lazy to speak. In his opinion, this little guy was jealous of his ability to eat. If it was according to the real plot, there was no way these people would be in their own courtyard right now. He will go to Shixian town with his master tomorrow. According to the normal plot, the protagonist Xiao Han should be in the Dragon Blood secret realm now. A hidden copy was opened in the secret realm. After some struggle, the remaining soul of the old dragon was entrusted to the care of his son. "I got a divine pet." At the last moment, the secret realm collapsed. The old dragon directly used up the last bit of his energy to break through the space and randomly teleport people to the Food Fairy Town to start a new round of adventure. Give experience and give babies. It's an old trick. However, the Immortal Eating Conference is about to begin, and the male protagonist is still here. How could he still follow the plot? Although he felt sorry for his fellow apprentice, there was nothing he could do. He also doesn't have a spot to enter the Dragon Blood secret realm. So, you can pay attention to the plot, but don't care too much about it. I might as well eat more sweets than think about that. Just as he was immersed in these delicacies, Fu Anan's voice echoed in his ears, "I have a good place here." "Where?" Xiao Zhang asked curiously. "The Dragon Blood secret realm is the most suitable place for tempering the body, and I happen to have a spot here. I don't need it anymore, so I'll give it to you, junior brother." Cough. Hearing this, Mo Bai couldn't help but cough. The whole person suddenly raised his head and looked towards Fu Anan. He was holding a token in his hand, with a dragon inside, which looked very majestic. The plot, I told you, the plot must be shrinking constantly." "Look," the elf shouted instantly. She naturally knew where Xiao Han should be at this point in time. Naturally, Mo Bai's abnormal behavior was noticed by the three people at the first time. Xiao Han was the first to react. He reached out a hand and gently patted Mo Bai's back, and said, "Don't be impatient, take your time, I still have a lot of desserts." The two girls. "Good man, I really didn't get any chance at all." "Brother, as soon as something happens to you, you immediately ignore the things that can help you make further progress, right? It seems that you are serious." Thinking of this, they became more certain of the goal they had set before, to keep these two guys apart for a while. At this time, Mo Bai also stopped eating and looked at the Dragon Blood secret order in Fu Anan's hand. For a moment, I felt a little unconfident. Is it possible that such a thing as plot correction really exists? Fu Anan also noticed his gaze and asked with some doubt, "Brother, haven't you been into this secret realm before? And with your current level of cultivation, you don't need it at all." After staring at it for a few seconds, Mo Bai shook his head, still not believing it. The storyline correction is a bit far-fetched. It's just a possibility. If I say I need this secret order now, will Xiao Han still want it? Impossible, he would just hand it to me with a smile. But even if that was true, so what? He was not incapable of changing again. He never liked plots or scripts, they were too restrictive. Then take this opportunity to see if there really is a so-called correction. Thinking, he spoke, "Indeed, the Dragon Blood secret realm is indeed very suitable for you now, and it can also consolidate your cultivation that has just broken through to the third realm. Besides, I also saw a few treasures in the Dragon Blood secret realm. I think they should be ripe now, so you can use them." He wanted to see if Xiao Han could still achieve the same effect as in the original novel, half a month later than in the original novel. If Xiao Han successfully appears in Shixian town to participate in the first battle between good and evil, it will prove that plot correction may really exist, and vice versa. The two girls were delighted to see this. They didn't even need to do anything, their senior brother just started to drive people away. But at the same time, I feel a little jealous. This is too much care. But Xiao Han looked embarrassed, frowned slightly and said, "Brother, why did the master look for you?" Lin Qingming and the other man also turned to look. Although they also asked Xiao Aizai, they were told that he had to go out to do something, and did not get a real answer. Mo Bai did not hide it either, picked up a piece of cake, and said while eating, "Master should be invited to the Centennial Conference of Shixian Town to take care of something, and he needs my help." The Immortal Eating Conference? Isn't that happening in half a month? Fu Anan asked. Maybe they are making some relevant preparations. Mo Bai said. It was more than just some preparations, it was simply taking off. However, these things were not suitable to be discussed with other people. Then, senior brother, how about I accompany you to attend this conference and then go to the Dragon Blood secret realm? Xiao Han said excitedly. Lin Qingming and the other man narrowed their eyes instantly. That was a 100-year conference, it was very lively, and junior brother was very capable, who knows, he might be able to completely take down senior brother during this conference. We can't let them have the chance to be alone. Thinking about it, Lin Qingming spoke, "No, junior brother, you have just broken through the third realm and it is most suitable for you to bathe in dragon blood to strengthen your body. If you stay at night for half a month, the effect will be much less." Fu Anan also realized the problem and nodded and continued, "Moreover, the Dragon Blood secret realm has only been open for 3 months after 5 years. Now more than a month has passed, and the resources inside are not much." In summary, what they meant was, don't waste even a moment of time. Xiao Han's expression remained unchanged, his eyes always fixed on Mo Bai. Mo Bai also patted him on the back and said, "I calculated with my fingers, and there is a great opportunity for you in the secret realm." Xiao Han's eyes darkened. He wanted to attend this conference with his senior brother. At this time, Mo Bai laughed again, "Go ahead. Who knows? By the time you reach your dragon blood absorption limit, the conference might not even start yet." Xiao Han's face was instantly filled with determination, and he nodded, "Listen to my brother." Mo Bai patted his head with relief, "Don't worry, if you can't participate at that time, I will leave you some of your favorite food listening to this and watching this scene." For some reason, Fu Anan and Lin Qingming were speechless. Even though I didn't eat a single bite of the pastries on the table, I could still feel a tight feeling of fullness in my stomach. Especially when he saw the smile on Xiao Han's face after receiving Mo Bai's intimate gesture of patting his head. The two of them felt extremely unhappy, and they felt like they were being shown off. The more I watch this scene, the more jealous I feel. Anyway, I have to separate them first. Lin Qingming spoke first, "Junior brother, senior sister just taught you a move. Why don't you practice it while the three of us are here and we can give you a comprehensive instruction? How do you think?" Chapter 22. It's wonderful to have dessert, face the moonlight, and instruct my junior fellow apprentices. Fu Anan reacted quickly and continued. Regardless of anything else, interrupt the atmosphere between these two people. If she had seen them like this in the past, she would have felt it was normal. After all, we are brothers. Where do all these twists and turns come from? Isn't it normal for senior brothers to care about junior brothers? But when that junior fellow had a different purpose, the nature of the whole thing immediately became different. When Mo Bai heard what the two said, his eyes lit up and he said, "It's a rare opportunity for us to get together. Everyone has different circumstances and different levels of cultivation, so why not discuss and debate on this matter?" Xiao Han also nodded, "Senior brothers and sisters, please give me more advice. Although it was a discussion and argument, my cultivation level was the lowest on the scene. As for those with high cultivation, they cannot be said to have a complete understanding of the lower realms, but they also have considerable attainments. After all, I've been there all the time. So this is said to be a discussion, but in fact it is completely instructing myself." Without hesitation, he spoke first, "The method of opening up the three realms of Qi Si mentioned in the Xiaoao Codex." Junior brother followed. He wrote eloquently, expressing his own insights and confusions. Mo Bai and the other two were listening attentively. After a moment he finished. Fu Anan and the other person didn't say anything, but turned to look at Mo Bai. He had the highest level of cultivation among those present, so naturally everyone waited for him to speak first. Mo Bai did not waste time, explaining everything clearly and then making suggestions. Xiao Han also showed his senior brother's expression at the right time. Of course, Fu Anan and the others did not fall behind and put forward some of their own insights. If we talk about the insights put forward, it is 1% out of 100%. After that, a group of people began to speak enthusiastically. But most of the time, 3 people asked questions and Mo Bai was responsible for answering them. After all, when those 2 senior sisters didn't come, he was the eldest senior brother of these people, so it was natural for him to answer their questions. These people are usually very nice to me. Fu Anan's many helping hands, Lin Qingming's tough words and soft heart, and his own junior fellow apprentice's meticulous care. This can be considered as a repayment. By the time I finished speaking, the moon was already high in the sky and it was deep night. Fu Anan, Lin Qingming's eyes were also full of enlightenment, and it was obvious that he had gained a lot. "Brother, what level have you reached in your cultivation now? You can even explain the path to the 5 realms so thoroughly." Fu Anan asked curiously. It had been a while since she broke through the 5th realm, and she had some confusion, but after Mo Bai's explanation, all these were solved clearly. Lin Qingming looked up. She also had similar doubts. Mo Bai said proudly, "You just need to know that your senior brother will always be your senior brother." After saying that, he walked to the open space, then turned to look at Xiao Han, "Little junior brother, come here. Senior brother has examined your inner strength. Now it's your hand skills that will be examined next." Xiao Han was stunned. Fu Anan reached out and patted Xiao Han on the shoulder and said, "Senior brother is calling you, why don't you go quickly?" Xiao Han quickly came back to his senses and walked out in 3 or 2 steps to the opposite side of Mo Bai. He took out the magic sword and began to dance. The light is flowing, the sword energy is flowing, and it is filled with a cold and harmonious beauty. Mo Bai was giving instructions from the sidelines, adjusting the poses from time to time. Zhong Anan and the other person who were sitting on the stone chairs watching also had smiles on their faces. Apart from anything else, this scene still looks very pleasing to the eye. Suddenly, Lin Qingming reacted, his face changed drastically, and he looked at Fu Anan. "By the way, what was our original goal?" Fu Anan. Lin Qingming. What on earth did she do just now? How did she change from being an obstructor to being a helper? Taking a deep breath, Fu Anan concluded, "My fault. It's not your fault. I didn't react just now." Lin Qingming also took over. After a pause, Lin Qingming continued, "But this scene can't be considered improper, right?" As she spoke, she began to pause. The teaching was still the same, and there were only a few kinds of physical contact. But after looking at the problem from a different angle, she felt that what she saw was also different. She always felt that the eyes of that junior brother were seducing the salty fish senior brother all the time. It's so sour. And it's not a good idea to disturb them. After all, this scene is normal no matter how it is adjusted. Senior brother should teach junior brother, well, it's also my fault that I don't have enough experience, otherwise I could do it for my senior brother. Fu Anan also spoke. Lin Qingming didn't say anything, just watched quietly. After more than a quarter of an hour, the two of them also stopped. Xiao Han had no intention of stopping and spoke directly, Brother, I have some insights in my heart, so I will go back to retreat now. Mo Bai smiled and said, why go back? It's not like I don't have a practice room here. The two girls pricked up their ears, aware of the element. They still clearly remembered that the two guys were sparring and ended up sparring on the bed. If it's the same this time, they will definitely interfere no matter what. No, brother. Okay then, walk slower. Mo Bai nodded. Fu Anan and the other person also breathed a sigh of relief. Xiao Han turned around and bowed to them, then turned around and was about to leave. At this time, Mo Bai seemed to remember something and stopped him again. Xiao Han stopped and turned his head. Mo Bai threw out a white jade box. This is the special thing that I mentioned before. Xiao Han was stunned, then walked away holding the white jade box. We must hurry up, after all, there is only half a month. Within this half month, he must completely absorb everything in the Dragon Blood secret realm, and then get the recognition of his senior brother and attend the conference with him. Time is short, the task is heavy, and there is no time to waste. Lin Qingming's gaze gradually shifted away with her steps. She was not looking at the person, but at the white jade box. Of course she recognized what it was. It is the same strange thing that senior brother Xianyu eats. Fu Anan and his senior brother had already eaten, and now even this junior brother has some. That means he is the only one among the four who has never had. This made her feel strange and inexplicably unhappy. She was so unhappy that she wanted to grab Mo Bai's collar and ask, why do everyone else have it but I don't? But she couldn't do it because of her personality. However, at this moment, there was a feeling of a heavy object hitting my head. Good man, I'm already unhappy, and you're teasing me. I reached out and grabbed it directly, and a cool feeling came over me. Looking up, a white jade box appeared in his hand. Turning back, a smiling face came into view. How about it? Do you want it? Chapter 23. The smile was gentle, especially under the moonlight, it looked even softer. Lin Qingming was distracted for a moment. It's too close. But you still have some conscience. Just take it like this. As the thoughts flowed, his hands also began to move. Mo Bai only felt a force coming from his hand, and at the same time a somewhat cold voice sounded under him, who allowed you to hit my head? Take it away. The smile on Mo Bai's face remained unchanged. He had experienced this kind of scene many times. This guy may say he is disgusted, but he may have already started to regret it in his heart. He still remembers the way he swallowed his saliva on the rooftop. According to his previous temperament, he should tease her first and then give it to her. But I'm not in that mood right now. After all, this guy brought him food at noon, and it would be a bit unfair to tease her again now, so. This is some leftover from me. I can't finish it. Xiao Qingming, please take the trouble to finish it. Mo Bai said again. In that case. Lin Qingming's face lit up with joy, and he stretched out his hand with some embarrassment. Junior sister, since you are in such a dilemma, then I, your senior sister, will kill him for you. Before Lin Qingming could finish his words, Fu Anan interrupted him and stretched out a hand. Noticing Fu Anan's actions, a fierce light flashed in his eyes. In the blink of an eye, he grabbed the white jade box and held it in his arms. After glancing at the two of them, he snorted coldly and said, then I'll work hard for a while. After saying this, she blushed, obviously feeling a little embarrassed about the incoherence in her words. In this situation, people become extra sensitive. So much so that when she tilted her head, she keenly noticed that Mo Bai and the other person's eyes were fixed on her. He was so ashamed that he stomped his feet hard and ran out the door. But in the blink of an eye, the small figure disappeared into the night. Seeing her running, Fu Anan couldn't help but chuckle. This junior sister was well organized in her planning. But after all, he is just a child. I can't stand the slightest teasing, so next is the two-person space between me and my senior brother. As he thought about it, the expression on his face began to regain its holiness, and that fairy spirit emerged again. Under the moonlight, a layer of light white gauze is formed. It makes her look like a fairy walking down from the moon palace. Turning to look at Mo Bai, she reached out and pinched the corner of her clothes, her face blushing and shy, like a budding flower. How could anyone not take their eyes off her? This was not the first time he had seen Fu Anan in this posture. Every time I see him, something is missing. The elf is going to crash, how can this be a witch? Is there anyone more fairy than her? At this time, Fu Anan looked up at Mo Bai at a 45-degree angle and said, "Hey, brother, where's mine?" After saying this, the anticipation on Fu Anan's face became even stronger. This move has never failed since it was discovered, and my senior brothers will always respond to my expectations. To be honest, although the spicy strips were delicious, what really mattered to him was the gift from his senior brother, and the facts were exactly as she had imagined. Mo Bai knew when he saw this smile that he could hardly refuse. In other words, anyone who sees this expression will find it hard to refuse. It's hard not to respond to this expectation. Especially the big sister who keeps doing things for me. But now comes the problem. Not enough villain value. After exchanging these 5 spicy strips, I also received some. But it has not exceeded 500 yet. As he thought about it, his eyes began to glance towards his shoulder. The elf trembled all over, and disappeared after a flash of light. At the same time, a voice sounded in my mind. Don't even think about using me to gain villain points. Ding, you gain 50 villain points. Source, Lingzi. Mo Bai? While Mo Bai was stunned for a while, the expression on Fu Anan's face began to change from expectation to disappointment, and in the end he looked like he was about to cry. The corner of Mo Bai's mouth twitched slightly, a gesture he was familiar with. It is the advanced version of the fairy smile just now, fairy tears. It makes people want to give their lives to her, just begging her not to cry. Mo Bai had no choice but to tell the fact that it was the last one. At this time, Fu Anan spoke again, I have all the junior brothers and sisters, but I am the only one missing. Could it be that my senior brother didn't consider me as his own from the beginning? This is too much. The tone was resentful, as if there was endless grievances. Mo Bai? Are you a monster? The retreat was blocked instantly. I lowered my head and looked at the expression that seemed to say, if you say it is true, I will cry in front of you. What matters is that it looks good. Mo Bai felt like his head was getting a bit big. After a moment, he reacted and just now he turned on the villain value reminder again. But Fu Anan didn't get any villain value, which means she wasn't villainized. Thinking about it, the original sense of urgency in my body began to disappear a little, although looking at that face, the feeling continued to increase. Suddenly, he had an idea and thought of a sentence, fight magic with magic. He reached out and placed his hand on Fu Anan's shoulder, lowered his head, met those eyes, and maintained a gentle look. Fu Anan was stunned, his face flushed, and his heartbeat began to accelerate. What the hell? Why is senior brother so proactive? Isn't this a little close? But if you look closely, senior brother is so handsome. Closer, closer. At this time, Mo Bai's lips moved slightly, and Fu Anan's heart was beating wildly. Are you going to confess your feelings to me? I'm tastier than that thing. Would you say that, senior brother? Hee, senior brother. As her thoughts flashed, Mo Bai also started to move, and the expression on his face instantly turned into anticipation, which was exactly Fu Anan's first form before. How could I have forgotten? Xiaoan, I tasted it with you when you first came. Do you think you have forgotten? That's too much. Fu Anan was stunned, then, she felt like she was finished. This was the first time she had seen a senior brother like this. It's really, really great. Ding, you get 100 villain points. Source, Lin Qingming. Ding, you get 300 villain points. Source, Lin Qingming. Mo Bai? Turning around, outside the door, Lin Qingming was holding the jade box, staring at the scene. Hey, what did you do to him? After saying that, he walked in 3 or 2 steps, grabbed Fu Anan and walked out the door. Before leaving, he gave Mo Bai a meaningful, and extremely dangerous, look. Ding, you get 100 villain points. Source, Fu Anan. Mo Bai? Chapter 24. What did I do? I just said a few words. Who would have thought that this guy would be so shy? Also, it's understandable that Xiao Qingming is upset with me because he doesn't know the truth, but senior sister, I just said one sentence to you, why did you feel that way too? Having complained to this point, Mo Bai couldn't help but touch his chin and said, can I get it just by teasing you? Then it would be too easy to get the villain value. As he said that, he walked to the bed in 3 or 2 steps, took out the pillow that Fu Anan had given him, put it directly behind his head and rested it on it. With a slight thought, a virtual panel appeared on the mount, and the villain value shown in it was 730 points. Nearly half of these 700 points were earned just now. The remaining ones were obtained only after exchanging the spicy strips. At that time, he thought it was a bit noisy, so he turned off the prompt. But now it seems that this tip is not completely useless. Well, a mood collector. This is probably a relatively hidden usage of a system. He had already figured out the general usage of this system. Do bad things, get villain points, and then exchange them for things. But it seems that there are many bugs, and you can also steal your own wool. The things that can be exchanged are of no use to him. Overall a bit shabby. But it can also add some fun to yourself. At least it can make something as complicated as spicy strips directly for itself. It also brought him the truth about this world, a novel. Although many names and events are described in the book. But he still couldn't believe that the world he had lived in for 19 years was just a fiction. Because it's so real. But it can still be used as a reference. After all, there are still many directions and many key points that can be verified. What he has to do is to use these to live well. As if it had sensed his thoughts, the elf flew out again, frowning and looking at Mo Bai. Xiao Bibai, do you have no intention of following the plot or being a villain? Although it was only one day, she experienced a lot and saw this guy's true face. He had no intention of following the plot or being a villain at all. All he has been doing is following his heart and doing whatever he wants. So she decided to give him a good advice, letting him know that as long as he followed the system, it would only be a matter of time before he could take off. Don't stay here like a salted fish anymore. Based on his previous behavior, he will definitely admit his mistakes and never repent. I want you to truly realize the vastness of the world and the greatness of the system. Then follow my instructions. Lingzi thought so, her eyes resting on Mo Bai's face. Mo Bai also heard his voice and shifted his attention from the panel to the elf. Seeing her serious look, I smiled and said, yes. Ah, this. The elf was stunned for a moment. This answer is not what she expected. All the words I had prepared disappeared instantly, and I replied in a daze, why? As long as we follow what this system says, transcendence won't be a problem in the end. Mo Bai stretched out his hand, and a green jujube fell from the tree. He took a bite and said, what is detachment? The elf immediately spoke, being free from all constraints and being omnipotent is the ultimate state pursued by countless worlds and countless powerful beings. Sharp. Mo Bai sighed. The elf smiled instantly, put his hands on his hips, and said proudly, so all you have to do is follow this system. But I refuse. Before the elf finished speaking, Mo Bai continued. The elf's face changed again. Mo Bai didn't stop yet and took another bite of the fruit. His face was serious. I practice to live a better life, not just for the sake of practicing. It is tempting to be detached, but I will not live a life I don't like because of it. I refuse. I will reach the top step by step. Mo Bai paused here, with the corners of his mouth raised. The elf was also shocked by his words, and was also aroused by his curiosity, so he asked, and what? Mo Bai looked at her and smiled, and I feel that your villain system is really a bit despicable. Elf. Ding, you get 300 villain points source, Lingzi ding, you get 100 villain points source, Lingzi. The elf's fur instantly exploded, its wings flapped, and it stood about 30 centimeters above Mo Bai's face, spraying, how can you tarnish someone's innocence out of thin air? Do you know how powerful this system is? Do you know what a great power it is to help others transcend? You are just a little, hey. You don't have any skills? How is that possible? From the time his fur exploded to the time he spit out a sweet smell, to the time he was stunned, the elf only took less than 3 breaths of time. She realized that, apart from the name of the man in front of her, she couldn't find out anything about him. There is no cultivation, and there is no method of practice. But this guy in front of me just gave instructions to a senior sister of the 5th realm. How is it possible that there is no cultivation? Does that mean you can't detect it yourself? But even if I am only in a primary form, I can still detect the 6th realm Suanjun level. Could it be that he has already reached the 7th level? Impossible, 7th level at the age of 19? Are you kidding me? In the original novel, even the protagonist who was good at cheating took more than 30 years. Not to mention the villain Mo Bai. But now? You, what realm are you in now? The elf asked after swallowing. Mo Bai raised his head, his mouth slightly curled up, and although his expression was the same as before, the elf felt a chill. At this time, Mo Bai spoke, actually. I have already transcended. The elf shuddered. Mobi still didn't stop. Aren't you curious? Why were you late? And you met such a strange villain? And the plot of this world has collapsed like this. The elf began to tremble all over, his lips trembled, and he said tremblingly, so, it was you who caused me to get lost. Mobi, straight face, being lost for 19 years, isn't that too outrageous? What level of stupidity is this? Thinking about it, the desire to tease him suddenly disappeared. There is really no sense of superiority in bullying a fool. Although it's quite funny to see her trembling. Lying on his side, chewing a green date, this is a crappy system, coupled with a fool like you, so I don't have any hope. Spirit, degree delta degree, she realized that this guy was brushing her. Ding, you get 500 villain points source, Lingzi. Ding, you get 300 villain points source, Lingzi. Chapter 25. You lied to me, you are not a transcendent at all, the elf shouted. Mobi didn't even turn his head and complained, anyone with a bit of brains wouldn't believe this, would they? Also, have you admitted that this system is a piece of shit and that you are a fool? Elf, when it comes to making fun of me, you are like a sow wearing a bra, one set after another. Ding, you get 100 villain points source, Lingzi reacting quickly, the elf cursed again, the system is not a piece of shit, and I'm not stupid either. This is all because of you. Having said that, the elf seemed to have found some reason. His originally weak face instantly became extremely firm, and he became more confident. Mobi also heard this and straightened up again and said, what does this have to do with me? The elf put his hands on his hips, his face full of disappointment, because of your inaction, you didn't become a villain, which caused the system to not upgrade, so it seems to be of little use. Mobi shook his head and continued, I don't want to take the blame for this. Didn't you just come today? The elf was startled, trembling all over, and blushing, but he quickly reacted and said stubbornly, the reason why the system is not powerful is because you, the host, are too useless. It has nothing to do with me. Mobi narrowed his eyes, and understood what kind of progress this system was. Maybe it's about growing up with yourself. It's a pity that this little fool had been lost for 19 years, and by the time it arrived, it had already taken off. It is still in its initial state. The things that can be exchanged for it are only useful for the third realm at most. So for me, its effect is very small. Then you should change your host. I am no longer the same person I used to be, so there is no need for you to follow me, right? Mobi said again. Hearing this, the elf blurted out, it's because you are not the original you. Once you are bound, you can't get rid of it. Oh, how come I have to have you as my host? Mobi. He was also somewhat speechless, turned around and spoke seriously, I am the unlucky one. I was lying on the bed dreaming sweet dreams. Suddenly a fool appeared and said that the world was a novel, and I was actually the villain, and that all the junior brothers and sisters around me would kill me in the future. Do you know how much pressure I was under? Goldfinger is just a crappy system that can't even check the cultivation level of its own host. The elf was stunned for a moment by Mobi's continuous words. Then, ding, you get 200 villain points source, Lingzi born to be a leader, I'm sorry. The elf said chokingly. Although it feels aggrieved, but when I think about it carefully, it seems to be true. If I hadn't been late, none of this would have happened. As I thought about it, I felt even more upset, and tears welled up in my eyes, as if I would burst into tears the next moment. Mobi. What's going on with this inexplicable feeling of guilt? He sighed and spoke, deciding to offer some comfort. He really couldn't bear to see girls crying in front of him. After thinking for a while, he chose his words and started speaking, but from another perspective, this is actually a good thing. The elf stopped instantly, although there was still some moisture in his eyes. What do you mean? Mobi had a gentle smile on his face, if you hadn't arrived 19 years later, I might have followed the path you planned. If I hadn't tried a new life, I wouldn't have the situation I have now. Hey, wasn't I comforting you? Why are you still crying? Mobi stopped talking halfway and looked at the elf in front of him who was already crying. Ding, you get 500 villain points source, Lingzi. Mobi is grateful. The little elf in front of him had lost his luster in his eyes, and his body began to tremble, so, as long as I'm not late, everything will go as expected. Mo Bai suddenly realized, no wonder this guy cried while listening, blame him for not considering this aspect. It turns out that as long as I'm not late, this bad-tempered, black-bellied host BD will follow my plan, become my puppet, and become the villain step by step, woo. Mo Bai. Live well, live well. At this moment, the shame in my heart instantly disappeared. He turned to the other side and ate some dates. As expected, bullying elves is the best. I can only say that this little elf is a really silly child. But in the blink of an eye, the repair was completed and her face became delicate again. Now that the mistake has been made, the next task is more important. The primary goal now is to make the host the villain. Yes, she has given up following the plot now. After all, the host doesn't want to. Who told me to be late for more than 10 years? Now others have taken off. What else can you do besides hugging someone's thigh? Thinking, he spoke, Nina, Xiao Bibai, are you really not going to play the villain? Hearing the words coming from behind, Mo Bai responded, who is Xiao Bibai calling? The elf was stunned and was about to speak when Mo Bai immediately followed up, I'm just a bad, black-bellied BD. Elf. What the hell is this vindictive and irritable look of yours? Are you a child? But in order to complete the mission, I endured it. Thinking about it, he hurriedly started to cheer, I'm sorry, Xiao Bibai, I shouldn't have said that to you just now. I was wrong. I didn't know you well enough. My mind continued, you must be a bad-tempered, black-bellied, vengeful BD. Just as she was about to fly over, Mo Bai turned around and looked at her, indeed, if you know me well enough, you will never label me as a villain, because I am actually a kind person. Elf. Ding, you get 100 villain points source. Lingzi. Mo Bai glanced at her and continued, I am afraid of hurting the lives of ants when sweeping the floor, and I cherish the moths that fly around the lamp. I am so kind. Ding, you get 300 villain points source, Fuanan. Ding, you get 200 villain points source, Lin Qingming. Elf, Omega, Mo Bai. Good fellows, what did I do to you two ancestors? You actually got a bunch of critical hits. And you have to do this when I am fleecing the elves. It makes me lose face. Waiting for the reminder sound to gradually fade away, Mo Bai immediately spoke up, no matter what, saving face is the most important thing. My senior brother's care and guidance to my junior sisters always make them feel confused and resentful. But when they grow up, they will understand the true meaning and respect me even more. The elf nodded in agreement. After all, he still needed to be coaxed at this time. Mo Bai smiled with satisfaction, I am a good person. Ding, you get 500 villain points source, master's words. Ding, you gain 400 villain points source, master's words. Mo Bai. Literary girl, why are you joining in the fun? Seeing this, the elf nodded in satisfaction, and no longer felt the anxiety he had before. She now completely understood that if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.